No, you can hear me now, can't you? Bloody Windows. They did an update, didn't they? That's what they did. They did a bloody update. Gosh, truth. Anyway, never mind all that. I played all that music. You couldn't hear it. You heard nothing of the wonderful stuff that I was doing over. So, let's just try that again then, shall we? Where is the sodding music that I had? I can't even find the music that I had. Here we are. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you should have heard a few minutes ago, but I didn't realise it hadn't gone out because thanks to Windows 95, they couldn't hear me. So typical. What happened there? It's jumping about now. Jumping about, this swine. There is a place in England, a small, tiny place, in which a poor, sodding man is unable to communicate with the world. Not only that, he can't go out of his house. He is not allowed to escape and walk those ancient hills. He cannot stroll across the downs or dabble his feet in the water. He is unable to do any of those things, for this poor man is stuck in his house. Wasn't his fault, you see. He went into a room and there was somebody else who had some virulent disease, and what we don't want is this man to pass it on. For should he do that, the whole world will die! Let's turn that off. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi Showbie from my self-appointed prison here in the Vobes studio. Very glad that you can hear me now. Sorry about that. Windows obviously did a reboot. It did one of these things, and it went, yeah, do whatever it does. And then by default, it switches off. It does just unenables the enabled audio. And of course, I'm so used to just coming in here and switching it on and doing the show, didn't even notice. So thank you very much. Anyway, there was a bit of a mime start for you. Blew all the excitement out of it. I'm indebted to Mark Burgess, by the way, who suggested that I start the show in a prison outfit, which I just so happen to have on a peg in my costume department. So no expense spared. Anyway, welcome along. It's very nice to see you. Thanks very much for coming by. It is very good to you. It's a Vobes vid, not a COVID. Yeah, very good. That's Michael White. Is that grey spaghetti rails railings? Yes, that's right. They is spaghetti. I bent them open just so that at least you could see in a bit more clearly. I hope that's all right. Echoing now, says Elaine. Oh, well, it probably is. There we are. I'll turn the echo off. My goodness, people are. Here am I trying to do my best, and all you do is complain. Complain everywhere. No, we can't have that. It's echoing now. It's in black and white. We can't hear you. We want perfect. We pay our license, you know. We pay our VBC license. You don't pay anything. Not for the Vogue show. It's free. It's free. You get what you're given. Anyway, I will settle down, ladies and gentlemen. I will settle down. Calm yourself. I'm trying to calm myself. Sit on a ferret. I did sit on a ferret. That's the problem. It's gone up my bowels. It'll soon come out my ears. It won't be very nice. Anyway, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice to be with you. Now, I hope you're going to help me out in today's show. We do have some wonderful videos, of course. We have something from Ray of Hope, which is theme-based. Thanks for that, Ray. Bernie is down in lovely Siddlescombe. And Mark Burgess has his sister out picking sloes. But she's not slow at the picking. I'm afraid I only picked one of the videos. You sent me 3, and they're all about 8 minutes long, so I can't possibly play that, Mark, as you know. So I'm afraid I'm going to play about 4 minutes of one of them, and then I will have to cut the peg, you know. I can't, what's that, 3/8, so that's nearly a third of the show. A third of the show. Station Master's Choice says it's feedback, Richard, not complaint. Oh, it's feedback. Fair enough. All right. Well, you call it whatever you like. Call it whatever you like. Bonnie says, if not spaghetti, it's a giant spider on your screen. No, they are jail bars. Oh, my goodness. I thought you lot were intelligent. Vobes has lost the plot. Yes, he has lost the plot. Michael White says, nice to see you, Richard. Your show is captivating. Thank you very much. Yes, thanks. I just got that as you said it. It was like, oh, yes, thanks. Captivating. Sean James Cameron says, you could use that outfit to make bread. Yeah, thanks. We're going to get all the jokes now. Are the bars made from licorice? No, they're not made. It is a ping that I downloaded, a ping file I downloaded from the internet. But as you seem to be taking the mickey out of it, it's gone. Right, on the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we can discuss a number of things. Firstly, of course, you may want to ask, why the hell am I stuck in my house? And you'll be very welcome to ask that. I'm stuck in my house because apparently somebody in my life that I was in a room with had a PCR test, which, as we know, is 100% absolutely accurate. Don't ask any questions about it. If you're within 200 yards of that person, you have to be put into a small underground cell for at least 400 years. And only then, when the toxicity has left your body, are you actually allowed out, like a snail, to slither down the streets, unworthy and unworkable. You are now the scum of the earth. That's apparently what the situation is. I'm not 100% sure. It could be there might be other rules and regulations, but to be honest with you, it's very hard to understand what goes on because the rules flip-flop about and you never quite know where you're going. Ron Langley says, what's it like inside, Richard? Well, to be honest with you, I haven't actually noticed any difference whatsoever, to be fair. The last 2 days, I was notified on, well, was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. What's the day? Thursday. I was notified Wednesday, which was yesterday. They said, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, it's all doom and gloom. And I said, well, to be honest with you, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything. It may all be doom and gloom to you, mate, but to me, no. I've got 2 edits to get out, and I had to, all Wednesday, 6 hours, or 7 hours, or something like that, I was glued to my computer editing my Saffron Walden video. And today, I've been glued to the computer screen, going absolutely bonkers, trying to get a wonderful video in which Windmill Bob and I go to a number of windmills and we fly about over them. Well, I fly about with the drone and we look at them and whatever. And that's now all edited and it's up and it's ready to go for tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. That will be released. And it's a lovely video, and I hope you'll watch it in your droves. What I was quite surprised by, and I'll be honest with you, is I did a very simple video in here saying, oh, by the way, unfortunately, I've got to self-isolate for 10 days, and that means the Bald Explorer walk that was destined to go on Sundays had to be pushed now a week back because when I couldn't turn up for a walk the last time, nobody turned up as well. They all thought, well, if Richard's not there, we're not going. So I didn't want to risk that and have people disappointed, so we pushed it back. And I thought I'd better tell people, and if I just said, oh, I can't make it, they might think that's a bit lame. And you know me, I'm an open book. So I thought, well, I'll just say what's going on. And more people watched that video and have commented probably on any other video that I've ever done in such a short space of time. And the one that I laboured all day and spent a lot of money on to produce and stayed in my van and all of those things has, it's just got the average, can't speak, the average views. And you just think, what's it all about? Why do we bother? So I'm hoping that people will forget that I'm self-isolating video and will actually watch the ones that I want you to watch, the nice ones, rather than just the public information videos. But, folk are folk. So I will probably start to feel the effect tomorrow because normally I may go out on a Saturday. It is Saturday. I've got to go shopping, obviously. I usually clean the van. I'll probably clean the van. It'll be all right. It's right at the back of the house, and that's not going to affect anybody. I might take a walk down to the pier. I might go to the park. I might go up on the downs. I can't do any of those things, obviously, and I'm not going to break the law. So, as much as those people, those comments that people put on there saying, oh, Richard, I'm so disappointed. There's you spouting all this stuff about your opinion about vaccines and the virus and this, that, and the other. And, of course, now that you've got to self-isolate, you've capitulated. You've actually gone and done what they've said. Well, the law of the land is the law of the land. And no matter though I think the law of the land is an ass, one has to say there is a principle in which you have to abide by, and the law of the land is it. You have to obey the law. I mean, apart from, very, very minor petty things where you inadvertently, I accidentally did something like parked in the wrong place, and then you get a fine for it, don't you? It's as simple as that. Or, I've trespassed on your ground. I didn't mean to. I didn't know I was there. Those sort of things. Well, that any people can make those mistakes. You can break the law by accidentally crashing into someone. Oh, you're not supposed to crash into somebody. Well, it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. I haven't murdered anybody. I haven't done anything like that. So, I'm not going to do that. But if you say that, just because of this, I'm not going to obey the law, even though I think the law is an ass and it's wrong, then what you're advocating is a lawless society. And if you advocate for a lawless society, then you are asking for trouble. Like these stupid people who are insulating Britain, although they're not insulating Britain. Apparently, not only that, is the leader of them not even insulated himself, but they haven't apparently even applied. I was listening to an interview with one of them, and they haven't even gone to the whoever is in charge of the Home Office, I suppose, whoever is in charge of homes and houses and housing. They've not gone up to them and glued themselves to their door, any government minister, and said, look, you're the bloke in charge of insulating places. I'm going to glue myself. They haven't done that. They've just caused a nuisance. They've written a few letters. They haven't even got that 100,000 petition so that it could be talked about in Parliament. They haven't even bothered to try all the other avenues. All they weakly say is, oh, and it doesn't work, does it? Well, have you tried it? No, but it doesn't work. Well, have you tried it? No. Have you tried it? No. You've just glued yourself at Dover instead, have you? Yeah. And do you think that works? Yeah. Well, I don't think it will work. I think most people will just think that you're a bunch of bloody loonies. Most of them are not very coherent anyway at the end of the day, and probably, well, clearly they're not working because they're so busy gluing themselves to the tarmac. What they should have done is glued themselves to a ferry, and we could at least sort of just sailed that off into the seven seas and then left them there and said, oh, sorry, we can't bring you back because there's no diesel at the moment, or petrol, or anything. So you'll just have to be self-insulated up on the high deck of some ferry, which, oh dear, it's got a hole in it. What a shame. Is that the Titanic? It must be an iceberg. Oh, well, never mind. Phew, thank goodness for that. Right. I've got a lot of things off my chest at the beginning of the show, so that's really good. Let's go and find out who is actually watching the show tonight. And thank you very much for tuning in and being wonderful guests, even though it's all feedback, it's not complaints. I understand that. So in the not in the cell and not actually with me tonight, but watching from far away, the lovely Julia, Sean James Cameron, Daniel Watson, Joanna Jones, Mark Burgess. Nice to see you all. Sean O'Brien, Kerry Baldwin. We have Anna Jones. We have other people as well. Station Master's Choice. Sean James Cameron. Very good. Jackie H.W. Woody Jenny. Good to see you. Mark Burgess, I think I've already mentioned. Audrey Forbes Hamilton, she says. Paul Cockrell and Jen Coley, Elaine Whitelock, and many others are coming along, which is lovely to see you. Hang on, I need to clear this screen over here because that's getting a bit all messed up. We also have Simon, which is nice. Michael White, The Prisoner, Free the Worthing One. Absolutely, what a good thing that is. No, I don't mind. There's loads of things to keep me busy, so I'm not overly worried. Glyn Horton is there. Ron Langley, nice to see you too. We also have Ray of Hope, of course. He's got a piece of music. We're going to play that in a second. Elaine Whitelock, who says we can't hear you. Of course, that was some while ago. Mike White, he says there's no sound. A lot of people no sound. Ray of Hope, fix the sound. All right. Keep your hair on. And right, nice to have you watching with everybody else. I hope you're all comfortable in your chairs. The Vintage News. He says, I knew the silent movie would come back as an art form sooner or later. Yes, I should have had it in black and white, really. But sorry about that. Bonnie H says, engineers reset, unplug and plug back in again. Actually, yes, it's pretty much that was the problem with Windows 10. I've never had any more problems with it. Oh, do you remember XP? Do you remember what do we have that Windows 95? Never had any problems with any of those. But Windows 10, is it 10? I can't remember now what number it is. I think we heard the music, says Sean James Cameron, which was lucky because I think there was a little bit of music. Terry Banton, nice to see you there. Davey Vad, good to have you. Alan Sandell, people are joining all the time. Andy Joy saying, hey, there's an echo. and many others. Clive Waterfall, Nigel Sadler, and Andrew Norris. What ho, he says. Many others are coming. If I haven't mentioned your name, then big apologies. Henry Ashencourt, Sean O'Brien, I have mentioned. I know that. And Mr. Mocky, John F., Kerry Baldwin, and that's Charlotte. That's Charlotte. And if you've been growing shallots, well done. I barely understand my iPhone, and I've had it 9 months. Is that the gestation period of an iPhone? 9 months? Michael White says, love the pinstriped number. Suits you, sir. Suits you, sir. Thank you very much. I just thought I would shove it on. And Linda Kane. Linda Kane is there ready in her leathers and her chain whips, ready to come in and whip the old Vobes one-eyed Kenobi. What's it like in the cooler, she says. Actually, the house is warming up lovely. We had a beautiful sunny day. I did ask them, am I allowed in my garden? They said, oh yes, you can sit in your garden. So I sat on the road, well, near the road. Obviously, I didn't actually go on the road because obviously they would, do you know, I've had police outside my door, mostly, all day. At least 2 police officers. Would you believe it? Now, they weren't actually there to guard me and make sure I was not slipping out the back or any of that. Actually, we had a massive... I meant to put this... I meant to show you... Actually, I can probably show you on my phone because I recorded it. I should have put it a proper way, but hang on a minute. Let me just see if I... We had a massive leak here. A massive leak. A road... what's the name leak? Hang on, let's just get this up. Play the video. Yeah, there we go. Now, where's the... Yeah, I'm just going to try and see if this works, because I should have shoved it the other way. But we had this. Can you see that? You can see that. This was 2 doors down from my house. Here we go. Look at that. I did actually step out onto the pavement just to film this. That is a water main that burst outside my house. It's absolutely amazing. This was yesterday, and they were there all night. Look, you can see that where the tarmac had been pulled up, and yet it seems to be coming from people's houses. It was a 6-metre length, apparently. This chap here was... I can't quite level it up with the thing. That chap there was stopping the traffic. Can you see that? Sit on your roof and do a protest. That'll be fun. I can get up on my roof, but I'm scared of heights. Anyway, there we go. That was a little bit of excitement yesterday. So, I mean, on the one hand, they're telling me to self-isolate and what have you, and meanwhile, the river had burst its banks. I thought the tide had come out with all that global warming going. I know it was absolutely incredible to watch. And then because they were there all night hammering, and they've been there all day, banging and crashing and drilling, and the house has wobbled and all that. It's only made of jelly, you see. Shall I send some Chelsea Flower Show photos? No, please don't. I don't want to see any flowers. That phone has put you in this current mess. Yes, it's not that phone particularly. It's just the fact that... somebody gave them my telephone number. And once you're in the system, of course, they were soon on the case and they rang me up. But, they're going to get you one way or another. I don't care. To be honest with you, I really don't care. It's not, I'm making a thing of it because it's a bit of an unusual situation. But to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I'm very, very lucky. What was interesting, and I'll tell you this was more interesting than the perils that I had, is in the process of all this, not once, they rang up and they were very pestering and very, they weren't going to listen to anything you said. They just said, well, you've got to self-isolate. You mustn't leave the house. You mustn't do this. You mustn't do that. Mustn't do that. Not once, this is true, and I found this particularly sinister and quite appalling. Not once did they ask about whether I was well, for one thing. They did on a supplementary phone call, but the first phone call, they only asked if I had any symptoms. That's all they were interested. But what they didn't ask if I had anything that I needed to get done, like go for a major operation. For all they knew, I had a cancer operation booked for today. that I would now not be able to do. They didn't ask. They didn't ask. For all they knew, I was looking after somebody who perhaps was mentally ill or had dementia or was physically ill or whatever, and was dependent on me. They didn't ask, have you got any dependents? They didn't ask if there was anybody else in the house. They didn't ask if I had a garden. They didn't ask if I was in a flat that had any access to anywhere else. Now, I appreciate they probably had my address, so they could look it up and go, oh, yes, it's a terraced house. Maybe they could do that. But they didn't ask any of those questions. They don't know a lot about me. They might know some basic things. Okay, they probably knew where I lived and it was a terrace house and there was some sort of space, and that I, according to the register, the what's the name register, the the thing you have to fill in to tell people how many people live in a house. For all they know that I was on my own, but they didn't confirm that. They didn't confirm, is there anybody else living in the house with you? How many people are there? For all I know, since having done the census or any of those things, I may have taken in 400 migrants that have crossed the channel, for all they know, trying to be helpful. They didn't ask that. They didn't ask anything. They didn't ask if I was all right for food. That there was a thing that says, you might be able to get 500 quid if you apply. And I thought, yeah, I can see the hoops that one would have to jump through, this so-called discretionary grant. I wasn't going to give them any more information than they already had. So that was that. So I found that appalling, that they were not the slightest interested in any of your personal situation and things that you might need to get done, even though they couldn't necessarily do anything about it. But they might have had some basic advice that you could have. They might have been able to say, look, because you've had to self-isolate, we can give you some sort of reference number that you can quote to the hospital. You may have had work that you have got to go and tell your employer. They don't know what your financial situation is. You may have got aeroplane tickets that you'd booked that suddenly are now null and void. They had no idea what the situation was. For all they knew, also, I could have been miles away from home because it's a mobile phone. So they could have rung. I could have been in the Outer Hebrides. And the thing is, if you didn't answer the phone within 3 of their calls, they said you will be fined. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. What if you had got your phone off because you were filming or doing work or something where you had to have your phone, or you were away and you ran out of charge, you were on holiday or for whatever reason, and they rang and you couldn't answer because your phone was switched off, or you just switched it off out of, you didn't have it on all the time, and they didn't try to ring the house at all. They only had this one number. And so they didn't, and so they just said, no, if you don't pick up the phone after 3 times, you will be fined. They didn't say what the fine was, admittedly, but presumably there's some sort of tiered system. So I just thought this is a little awful, really, and hence me talking about it now. The fine would have got thrown out of court, says, yeah, but who wants to go to court? Who wants to have that rigmarole in the first place? That just means that you've got another day of your life that you have to give over to the government. And then the worst case is that the people who had given them the number turn round and say, oh, well, we've all had a test now and we're all negative. So what? So there was no the PCR was wrong then, was it? So they're all right. I'm still, because I'm not double jabbed, you see, and I realised that this is clearly just the government's way of going, well, if you're not double jabbed, obviously you have to spend the 10 days. Well, hang on a minute. Does the vaccine actually work? Does it stop the spread? No. It doesn't stop the spread. We know that, okay? It might reduce the risk of you getting severely ill. It might do that, but it doesn't stop the spread. So if it doesn't stop the spread, okay, and if I get it, that doesn't stop the spread, we're in basically the same camp. Yet they're allowed to carry on and go about their business, whereas, because I'm not double jabbed, I'm not. So this is just nudge theory, isn't it? It's just nudge. It's just saying, basically, if you don't want to be inconvenienced, go and get the jab. I don't need the jab. I'm not in the bracket. I'm not ill. I have no symptoms. I am not in the age bracket that needs it. This disease only affects people who are in their 80s and have comorbidities, and a very small percentage of other people, which for reasons that we don't fully understand seem to get it. But on the whole, those people that have got the virus are and have severe problems with it, very severe problems, and threatened of death, are not in my age bracket. I could get a nasty cold. I could be up in bed for 10 days or whatever with fever, but that's not the same thing. And it seems that a lot of people are in hospital who have been double jabbed. In fact, there's a neighbour of mine who is in hospital and he's going to be in for longer, and he's been double jabbed. And yet we were sold this idea that we're going to give these people who are vulnerable the jab and they're going to be all right. Now they're talking about booster jabs. And you just think, actually, do you know what? I'm so pleased I haven't had this monstrosity. Not because I'm a COVID denier or anything like that. I just, it's the other interest. Here's another interesting thing. What it said on when you had to fill in this questionnaire about your situation, it said, are you part of the vaccination trial? Oh, so you admit it's a trial. This, everybody is having this. It's part of the trial, which it's not a fully fledged, 100% stamped safe thing, because it's still in the trial phase, that everybody's rushing to be a member of the... Well, that's fine. I've got no problem with that. Go and be part of the trial. I don't care. You can be part of that trial. It's great. If you want to. I don't want to. I don't want to be... I may reconsider and say, okay, you've had the necessary time, next year maybe when 2 years have elapsed, or 10 years, when 10 years have elapsed, and thought, okay, it's not really affected anyone after 10 years. In my mind now, I feel that is perfectly safe. So that when I get to, what am I now, say towards the end of my 60s and early 70s, I might say, do you know what, yeah, it's worth having. But at the moment, I don't need it. I've got an immune system. I'm healthy. I don't eat the wrong foods. I take exercise when I'm allowed out of the house, that is. And so, there's a slim chance. It's a risk, isn't it? It's a risk that I take, that I'm prepared to take, just as I take when I get in my car, or when I cross the road, or when I breathe, or when I wake up in the morning, or when I plug something in. There's a risk that you take. You think, what is the risk that this is going to kill me? And we all take that risk. I'm taking my own risk. Everyone's entitled to take their own risks. And I don't tell other people whether they should or should not take this vaccine, or how they live their life. Entirely up to them. Entirely up to them. But it's weird that one section of society will tell you tell me how I should live and how I should live my life. I don't tell that people can do whatever they want. If they want to take the vaccine, it's up to them. That's absolutely fine. If they don't want to take it, it doesn't matter. It's none of my business. None of my business. I just wish it was that my affairs was none of theirs. Right, let's have a look and see one of the... I've had my rant. Let's go back and have a look at some of your wonderful comments. Thank you very much for being there. I know there was a lot of vitriol in the comments that I said in my YouTube channel, which was actually quite surprising. A couple of people, in the end, people who have supported me, who just seem to turn 180 degrees round and to want to kick me in the teeth. And I just thought, well, okay, there we are. I don't need you. Ban, 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 ban. Who needs them? Who needs them? Especially when they're not supporting you financially in any shape or form, and they're just grabbing your stuff and going. And yeah, I know there's an argument. Oh, they are watching your adverts that go out. Yeah. So they give me 0.111 pence by watching the thing. Yeah, I'm sure most of them probably they probably skip the ads anyway. Don't glue yourself to anything. Sit on a ferret, says Glyn. Good advice, actually. I barely understand my phone. Well, that's gone back a bit, yeah. He should have got his coracle out. Yes, that's true. I should have gone in a coracle. No one would have got me. Sit on your... I don't know what they would do if you hadn't got a mobile phone. The amount of people that told me, get rid of the app. You shouldn't have downloaded the app. I didn't have the app. I've never downloaded the app. I didn't want the app. I've never had the app. So that was it. That phone has put... Yes, I thought the tide had come in with all the global warming going on. Oh, yes, that was the thing. Just coming down. I wonder if the Chinese get pinged or ponged. Yeah, they probably get both, don't they? Michael White says, don't worry, Richard, I've sent you a cake with a file in it. That would be very nice. Audrey Forbes says, I'd be more angry and upset about the phone call than the 10 days. Well, apparently they are going to ring me every day just to make sure. How they can tell that I'm in, because I probably turn off the I do turn off the location unless I'm actually driving. I don't have the location finder in, so unless they put something in your phone and you don't know it, how would they know you're not at home? You just go, oh yes, I'm at home. Oh, there's a lot of traffic coming through the window. Oh yeah, it does sound like the south of France. You're quite right. People are speaking French. We got a lot of tourists over here at the moment. Yes. They can't get home, you see. They're stuck, aren't they, because the flights and the boats and everything else. Yeah, well, they can't even get on a bus because there's no diesel at the moment. Yeah, thank you, bye. The fine would get thrown out. Kerry Baldwin says, my love for the NHS ended when I had my first call the day I started shielding. They asked me if I wanted a DNR. Oh, a do not resuscitate. A DNR? A do not resuscitate. Yeah, there you go. Mark Burgess says, I suspect the call centre has very limited scripts and have to stick to it because they're not medically trained. Well, of course. I mean, who wants to do that job and have people saying, what are you talking about? No, I don't want to be locked up. You can bog off. I completely agree. I mean, I was as polite as I could be, but I was assertive to the initial chap because they were just, in the end, quite belligerent. Bonnie says, I've just sent a short film of a man balancing a huge rock on top of another one. Nice, thanks for that. I have got videos, by the way, and I will be playing them in. Joanna Jones, does that DNR mean do not resuscitate? Yes. Linda Kane says, that is truly appalling. How awful, there are no words. Absolutely. Bonnie says, I've sent the flower show photos with no flowers as requested. All right, fair dues. What else have we got there? Julia says that, yes, do not resuscitate. Why are 12 to 15-year-olds having the jab? I do not know. And why are they even bothering to test on young kids? That's what I would like to know. This is all... The thing about it is, for me, is I'm not a conspiracy theory, but why on earth are we hell-bent on vaccinating everyone? This is where I just get suspicious, because we've never done that before. Not in such a short space of time. Okay, we managed to... Did we get rid of measles? Was it measles? We got rid of one of them, and then others have sort of come back. But we don't do it en masse in one fell swoop with something that's only been on the scene for a few months. We just never done that before. These protocols have never happened. And we've got to remember this is only affecting a very small number of people. The mainstream media have blown it out of all proportion. They've never once said, hey, do you know what? There's this pandemic coming, but don't worry. We've got it all under control and we've got some advice for you. And the advice is, here, try taking some vitamin D, try having some zinc, because we believe that these work. They may not work, it may do nothing, but it's better than nothing, but we know they're safe. Try that. There are some other tests that we're doing on some other things, like hydroxychloroquine, whatever it's called, and ivermectin. We're going to test those, and we'll tell you about those tests, whether they work or they don't. There's been vague reports here, there, and everywhere. There's some stuff on the social media, but what we will do is we will do some tests, and we will open the doors, and we will tell you about it. What we won't do is say, stab you in the chest, blood pouring out, and then tell you to go home and only come back to the hospital when you've got no blood. And that's effectively what they have done. They basically said, well, if you've got the symptoms of COVID, go home, stay at home and die, or come in only when you can't breathe. Now, in any other line of medicine, the minute you've got something, you've got a lump, we better scan it, we better find out what it is, it's cancer, we'll operate quickly. That's the normal standard procedure, isn't it? Be fair, I am talking sense. Normally, early intervention is the way you do it. What you don't do is scare everybody rigid, send them home, tell them they can't go out, don't go into the sun, which is one of the things which actually is good for you, shut all the doors and stay inside so you don't have fresh air coming in. Don't walk out into the park and buy yourself a cup of coffee because we'll go and fine you, and scare you so that your mental health issues are all over the place, instead of saying, okay, look, there is this problem, but we're going to show you different ways. We'll show you some recipes that you can eat which will help you with your health and raise the immune system. Never did that, did they? They didn't start to advise people to maybe don't eat horrible fatty foods, maybe stop smoking, try not to have too much sugar, try and get yourself as healthy as possible so that you give yourself the best chance to survive. They didn't do that either. They didn't tell you the truth. They concentrated on the deaths. These are the amount of people who've died. These are the amount of people in hospital. They didn't tell you how many people have got better, how many people have survived, how many people it never really affected. They didn't tell you that either. That's what I mean. This has been so badly mismanaged that in any other line of stuff, with any other government, well, possibly any other government, they would have told you and given you, even in the war, when the Germans were coming over trying to kill us and bomb us, the government and Churchill and all that were trying to motivate people to keep them happy and say, we will fight them on the beaches and the landing grounds. We will never surrender. We have a spirit. We will get together. We will beat this. That, you know, this most stupidest part of it was that the nearest you got to that is we'll all come out and start clapping in the middle of the street in the middle of the night. I mean, it's just totally and utterly bonkers. And then you start to tell me, oh, well, you know, Richard, but you're talking rubbish. You know I'm not talking rubbish. You know they haven't gone and given you the best advice they could have done. You know that we have some of the top scientists that were absolutely ignored and not being able to speak. That eminent virologists and whatever they are, you know, all the scientists have not been able to advise. They've only listened to one type of the science. We know that science isn't like that. We know that there is a balanced view, and we have not been given that balanced view. This is what makes me mad and so frustrated and want to talk about it and bring it out into the open, because we only hear the one side that the mainstream media and the government are telling you is that you are absolutely useless and unable to do anything about it. And that is so not true. There are many things that we can do. There are many things we could have done. But instead, we've just scared people, we've blighted our children by taking them out of school, and we've scared so many people and given them mental problems that it is only now really coming out. And like a sieve, it's going to leak out, and payback will come, and I think eventually people will see the foolhardy ways that they've been. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking personally and from the heart, but I truly believe this, and you may think I'm a complete and utter freak, and I'm sure you do. But you can't argue with the fact that not once did they help you. Not once did they give you advice. My son works at A&E. Well, he did during the pandemic. And he confirmed to me that at Worthing A&E, they were people who had anything and they said, oh, I've got COVID. They were immediately ostracized, told to go home and only come back when they were in real problems. That is not the way that we do medicine in this country, or wasn't the way we do medicine in this country. And now we have whatever it is, 15 million people trying to get on the backlist of things that people need to have done, and cancer patients dying left, right, and centre. We've had this one service, the COVID-only service, and the COVID-only service was only supporting people who were nearly dead. I mean, it did nothing to those people who initially got the symptoms and could have been saved. It is totally and utterly unacceptable. Andy Joy says, each to their own, but having had COVID, I'd rather take the jab and have any chance of lesser effects than I should have done. Your choice, I absolutely agree with your choice, and I'm not arguing that. You should be able to do exactly as you want to do. Mike Stevens says, eat lots of fruit and veg and work out and stay fit. That will build up your immune system. Wise words. That's what the government should have been doing. That should have been printed in every newspaper. That should have been on every show, should have been giving us recipes and helping us, not scaring us witless. So many people with drinking problems now, they can't afford it anymore. No, absolutely. The last thing you need to do is go and hit the bottle. For goodness sake, I mean, it's so basic and it's so obvious. It's so obvious. I cannot believe that the elite, The clever, the Eton educated thinking brains in the government have not thought this through, which makes me very suspicious, because you know they've thought that through. They know that was a strategy they should have done, but they didn't. And one has to ask why. Rachel T.S. says, absolutely, you are what you eat. If you eat rubbish, you'll feel rubbish. And Mike Stevens says it's about making money from the revenue from the vaccine. Bonnie says, I think Richard most ate chips this week. That is true. I did have 2 portions of chips this week. That's right. Not mostly chips, 2 portions of chips, and the second portion I didn't eat all of it. But you're quite right. I did have some chips. I don't often have chips, by the way. I did have chips when Mark Burgess came round, but that was a week ago now. And the rest of the time, I cook my own food. I don't buy any processed stuff. I never get takeaways, apart from those chips that you saw me do. I cook things. Tonight, for example, some food was delivered to me yesterday evening by Ed Sage. Thank you very much, Ed. In there was some chicken, some onions, some tomatoes, and I had already had some tomato sauce and some tagliatelle, and I made up this evening a chicken stir fry, basically, with all of that. And a little bit of chili went into it, some chilies, flakes of chili, and some black pepper, and some salt. And I always make my own food, or from basic ingredients. I never buy processed food. So, you know, I giving the impression that I eat junk food, I think is not true. The LO recorder says you're exercising free speech. Carry on. Exactly. I mean, this show, it's the Vobes show. It is my opinion, and people don't have to watch it. They don't have to agree with me. They can watch it but not agree. You can disagree. You can phone me up. Well, you would be able to phone me up if you knew what the number was. That's not the thing I wanted to do. Where is the telephone number? Hang on a minute. The Vobes, where? I lost the thing now. Here, are dual caption, solo caption. That's the bit I want. So you can ring me up and argue with me about it if you so wish. 07934746790. I hope the phone is actually on. No, the phone isn't. The phone isn't even on. Sorry about that. I've got so wound up. I'm putting the phone on now. So give me a couple of seconds to get the phone on, and we can have a debate. I can always move the videos on to another day. What have we got here? Lorry driver shortage is rubbish. What there is a shortage of lorry drivers, employees that will pay, or employers rather, that will pay a real wage. Yes, I'm sure. I wonder what they're all doing with themselves. Here we go. We've got a phone call. Let's find out who that is. I'll get rid of that now. Okay. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Mr. Lockdown Vobes.
Hello, Nigel Sadler. How the devil are you?
Oh, good. Enjoying all this. I completely agree with you and more, but some won't.
The voice of reason.
Not quite. Yeah, this is all very suspicious and weird. I mean, why have we got a shortage of fuel? I mean, you're in a really great position at the moment. For the next week, you're not touching any of the diesel of your van.
No, so that's right.
By next Saturday, you might have the only diesel in Worthing.
Well, do you know, I heard some rustling out the back of my house, and I thought some bugger is going to siphon it out my van.
It's not impossible, but probably is going to happen because it'll be sorted out by the weekend. Then why is this occurring? There's no shortage of tanker delivery drivers.
No, they haven't all died, and I mean, unless they've all been pinged and told that they've got to self-isolate, and these are people who pretty much live on their own anyway and sleep in their cabs.
Also the highest paid in the fleet. I mean, this is really a class thing in this country. We're a service industry, aren't we? This country now. We don't make anything. We're a service industry.
Yes.
And yet, service is considered to be trash. The person who collects your bins is not worth talking to. The person who wipes your mother's or your grandmother's bottom in a nursing home is not worth talking to. Even the person who delivers your Waitrose order is not worth talking to. You know, people who actually do work and service people and service the community are just generally considered to be scum in this country. It's just a whole class system that we've perpetuated. And it's just absurd. So I'm not surprised the things I've with horror been reading from HGV drivers who've just thrown in the towel and said, well, there's plenty of us, but we're not going to go back because of the way that you're treated in this country. If I'm cruising the tarmac in Europe, I get lovely food, I get lovely facilities, I get lovely showers, I get lovely places to sleep. Here I'm paying 40 quid a night to park up in a lay-by with a non-working shower and a slop for my food. It's just dreadful. So I'm hardly surprised that there's the situation with the HGV drivers, and of course our Eastern European friends who come along because we pay more than they would get in Europe, although not very much by our standard. They were more than happy to come along and work for us until partly A, Brexit, and B, the COVID situation, when quite naturally they did the sensible thing and have gone back to their own country and are working nicely there.
It's nice. I think it's nice that the HGV drivers have all got together and done something. I always think that it's that foot power that more people, if they are dissatisfied, instead of like me just sitting here moaning about it, if enough people took action and said, you know what, I'm not going to buy that product, or I'm not going to visit that shop, or I'm not going to do this, then the market forces would change, because it has to.
Completely.
The companies would go out of business. So it'll be very interesting to see what deals are now being offered to these HG, whatever it is.
I can't do it either.
Yeah, no, exactly. The what is it? High voltage gadget? No, HGV. That's it. HGV. And the HGV drivers. It would be interesting to see what facilities have done. I mean, but we've run this country down into the ground, and with this whole COVID thing, and now we're all going to be taxed to the hilt. I mean, I don't understand. People are saying, "Oh, it's all too expensive, the petrol and the diesel and all of that." Well, the government can very easily simplify that by taking the tax off. For those people who can't afford it, they can easily take the tax off, because 75% of it is bloody tax anyway. But they won't, because they need the money.
Everything is completely artificial. This crisis is entirely artificial. And there's a bizarre thing of all this CO2. We're being told there's too much CO2 in the atmosphere, hence global warming. And yet the only two places the places that make 60%, if I've got that figure correct, of the CO2 that is used for industry in this country is made from two American fertilizer plants, who it's not worth their while to pay for the gas to do the heating process to make the fertilizer with the byproduct of the CO2 that goes in the tanks, that goes to all the production areas that we use CO2 in.
Exactly. I mean,
even the government didn't know that. You could see.
Exactly. I know they just seem to be incredibly ignorant. This government, and probably subsequent governments as well. I mean, on the one hand, they're trying to, get, as you say, get rid of CO2. On the second hand, they're trying to make some, and it's like, well, make your bloody mind up. I appreciate that the CO2 is probably a different type of CO2, although it's still CO2. Some is wrapped up in the emissions of your coal firing stuff and your diesel outputs or whatever, and it's dirty CO2 probably, because it's not so easy just to extract a nice clean thing so that you can shove it in your food packaging. It's obviously a different type of version. I get that, not completely daft, but at the same time, it does make to somebody who may not understand that, it does make people think, wait a minute, I don't understand. 1 minute we're trying to reduce CO2, the next minute we haven't got enough. Where are we in this thing? I think we are headed, or we are in a crisis that will either go, well, I suppose one of two ways. It's either going to go downhill and we're all going to suffer more than we already are, or somehow it will be, well, we can rebalance this. Now, I don't want this to be the great reset in which nobody owns anything and we all rent, and there's this oligarchy of people that control our lives.
You're talking about the 15 lizard aliens that wish to depopulate the planet by 7.2 billion people. So some people tell me
Well, I haven't been that well. Eric hasn't told me about that one. Actually, he's avidly on the social media, looking and coming up with all these mad schemes. In fact, I think he starts most of them. To be honest with you, he sits there and makes out, the rats are taking over the world. Next week it'll be maggots, which of course, we need both rats and maggots. Strangely enough.
So he's self-isolating with you, is he?
He's always been self-isolating. I mean, he is laughing with glee at me because he can't come out the attic. In fact, if he does come out the attic, he'll get sunburnt. He's not used to any kind of vitamin D at all. I mean, his skin is a very strange colour now. I mean, he's like a Morlock, to be fair.
Yes.
He's very much like that, only he used to live underground, but now he tramples up and down it's very disconcerting in the middle of the night when you hear him walking about coughing.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all doomed, says Michael White. Germany and Poland are short of thousands of HGV drivers too. What else have we got? And Mike Stevens says it depends on, talking about the chips, whether it's healthy or not, started a thing. Ray of Hope says Brexit is the problem. Which I personally don't see it is a problem. I think we do have to stand on our own 2 feet, and we were a great nation. We've got teething problems. It may take a while to organise, but, we've had 40 years. Was it 40 years of the other lot?
Yes, more or less.
Yes, and they don't seem to be really any better. As soon as we left, they didn't seem to be doing anything, and they have decided. Haven't they decided they are going to have this European army, that the Euro army, that they all lied and said, oh no, we're not having an army of our own, and now all of a sudden, oh yeah, we're going to have our own Europe army.
Right, I hadn't heard any more on that.
Oh,
Maybe it'll be the case. I don't know how they're going to afford that, but there we go.
Well, that came in on the what's that SOS thing? Ticker tape, not ticker tape. What is it? Morse code that Eric pulls out. Ray of Hope says, don't worry, we have no fuel or fresh vegetables, but we can join building war machines with the Yanks and Aussies. Yeah, so there we are. We can get some nice submarines that can go underwater for a long time.
Yes, I'm sure the Chinese will sell us some.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, full of Huawei equipment that will spy on us. The Earth is a giant computer, says Station Master's Choice, with the humans as part of the experiment. Mice are the scientists in charge. I thought it was dolphins that said goodbye some time ago.
Yes.
In the Hitchhiker's Guide, exactly. Mr. Mocky says the French don't have the French don't have the moronic press that we do here, whipping all the hard of thinking up into a frenzy and panic buying. That's the difference. Well, they do have Macron. That's the problem.
Yes.
So
it's a lot of very strange leadership decisions over the last 4 years.
I think I think that who in the last 10 years have in the international world have we had as reasonable leaders? There's Trump, that was a sort of Marmite figure. Some liked him, some didn't, and for whatever reason. You've got Biden, which now some people like, and some people are going, has he got all his marbles? Can he actually do anything on his own, or does he need everybody to do it for him? Or has he got dementia, and is he going to be found out very soon? You've got Boris, which is like, he's supposed to be clever but acts the buffoon, but everybody seems to like him, but you can't tell what he actually stands for. Macron, who seems to have come from nowhere very quickly, and 1 minute is everybody's favourite and then he's not. You've got Angela Merkel, who's now disappearing. You'd opened up the gates into Germany and the rest of Europe to have half of sub-Saharan Africa come in and try an experiment of just mixing as many people up as you can. Who have I missed out?
Why don't we just go back to Kermit the Frog, which is what the Prime Minister was suggesting we should have in charge the other day. So there we go, because he seems to know everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Kermit the Frog, that is.
Yeah, Kermit probably. I mean, we had various different sort of weird things. We have an elephant or an animal that was giving the results of things like the Eurovision Song Contest and a cricket match, and we always have maybe we should do that.
It was an octopus that did that.
It's an octopus. Yeah, that's what we need. We need something like that in charge, because I don't think they're going to do any worse a job.
No. Well, just flipping coins will give us 50-50 chance.
Well, at least then we can say, well, there's nothing malicious in that. It's just like, shall we do this? No. Shall we do this? Yes. And by luck of the random, surely that would ultimately, I don't know what the probability factor would be, 50-50 chance, as you say. Maybe that is the answer. But no one is going to vote for it in a democratic society, are they? Although they might do. They might do in current situations.
I wouldn't put anything past anyone at the moment.
I mean, to be honest, it's probably what they are doing anyway, aren't they? It's probably what Cummings was saying to the Prime Minister when he was advising. He said, look, hang on a minute. We're just... heads or tails? Heads. Tails it is.
If a few fake... I'll call them fake, but I haven't got a lot of evidence to suggest they definitely were fake, although I really have my suspicion. Videos of people falling down dead in China in December last year.
Yes.
Can suddenly just make somebody decide in February that there was a global pandemic.
Yes, I think they were fake. I think they've been proved to be fake, but people panicked because we've never seen that, have we? People have not dropped down dead in the street with this.
It isn't a disease where you do drop down dead.
No,
you can affect something very quickly, but it's just not. It's the nice thing about the plague was you got it on a Monday morning, you were almost certainly going to be dead by Tuesday evening.
You knew where you were. It was a nice, friendly plague. It didn't muck about with
yes.
The pseudo this and pretend long COVID. Didn't have long bubonic plague, did you?
No.
Long Black Death. Have you got Long Black Death? Oh yes, it's in my teeth. They keep dropping out. I mean, you were alive for about 3 days, and that was it. Bang, gone, sorted.
Yes.
I mean, and at least there then were people up the streets, and you didn't mind about self-isolating because you could see everybody around you could see it. Yeah, I'm going to stay in. Don't you worry about that. I'm bolting my door. It was free will, and people had the choice because they wanted to, because they could see the ravages all around them. Whereas this, people, intelligent people are going, okay, if I feel a bit weird, I won't go and sneeze on people. I mean, that was one of the questions in this form. Have you been near someone who's actually coughed or sneezed on you? No. Oh, well, that's fine. If you're double jabbed, it doesn't make any difference. But if you haven't had the vaccine, then I'm sorry, but you've got to self-isolate for the rest of time. Oh, and by the way, we're going to close your bank account so that you can't have that. Oh, and probably we'll disconnect you from the internet because you haven't had the vaccine. These will all be the things that are coming down the line. So I'm afraid I will be writing postcards. I won't be able to afford the stamps, but people can come and collect my show in postcard form.
Yes.
And
let's get back to doing that. Like the old days.
You
could write a postcard. I've seen it in Worthing. You could meet somebody at 10 o'clock on the pier and invite them for tea. When you get home, you then send them a postcard inviting them for tea that afternoon.
Yes.
And they'll reply, and the original recipient would have got it.
Exactly. And the postal service was actually reliable. Now, of course, people may not know that when I left school, I worked in a printing firm, a reprographics printer, and I worked on a multi-lift litho printing device. Now, the thing about that is, if I do get the internet taken away from me and my lack of communication, the one thing I could do is I could print my own stuff because I have a mangle. Now, a mangle is very close to how a litho produces. As long as I can sort of get some form of plate, obviously not a dinner plate, because that would crack up, like its owner, and I could, somehow produce some. What I need is one of those Roneo. What do they call them?
Stepner.
Yeah.
Stepner duplicate. Yeah, I used to love that. On that thin film and putting it all in, and then the thing tears, and you've got to retype it all again. You get the Tipex to fill in all the little holes that shouldn't have been there, and then you.
Don't you just sometimes wish for those simple days of a telephone where you had a shared line and you had four, your telephone number was only 4 numbers, and if you couldn't use the phone because it was expensive, you went to the phone box. And
absolutely. That shot was 4 digits, and in Goring we had 5 digits.
Oh well,
call the operator.
They were the
call the
days.
wording number on and from the Goring number.
Imagine trying to, cajole people in a pandemic back then. You couldn't keep monitoring anybody. You had to do it on trust that people were going to stay. You couldn't call them on their mobile phone because they didn't have a mobile phone. They may not even have a telephone. You'd have the neighbour going, "Oh, I understand. I've had a call for you. Are you in?" "No, I'm not in today." "Oh, I'll just tell him you're not here." "No, I haven't seen him." They were the days. It was the most...
You had to ask permission to use the telephone because it was so expensive.
Yes.
And there'd be somebody with a stop clock. You've been on too long.
Yes, that's right.
For a minute
Your
and a half,
parent
that's
would
it.
be going, "Are you going to be on that phone all night?"
Oh, yeah, I've got to go. I'll see you in the playground tomorrow.
I don't know.
No.
Happy days. Anyway, better read some more of the comments and maybe play a video or two.
Yes, they've been chatting away and we've been chatting away. I don't know what on earth.
No, I don't know. But thank you very much for your...
Sorry, not seeing you on Sunday. I
Oh.
was going to actually bring you down. Your handkerchief you left here 2 years ago when you stayed. It's
Oh.
2 years since you were here.
Are the bogies still attached?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. I
I haven't washed it.
You haven't
It's all
washed it?
carefully-
Is it still... Wait, was it just the same place where I dropped it? You go, "Careful, don't..." Oh, hello. Come
Yes,
in. Don't
absolutely.
step on Vobes' hanky. We're keeping it there as a sort of a symbol of faith. It's become a good luck
Absolutely.
charm.
Exhibit A.
Exhibit
Yes.
A. He was here, my lord, but not when he was self-isolating. I don't know. It's all good fun, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for your call, Nigel.
With the show.
Yeah, are you going to able to come on the... It's been moved, just for those people who may not have
I'm
heard.
hoping so. All six of us. I've actually engineered all six of us to come on Sunday, but that's not happening now.
Ah.
No, we were. We'll come down to Worthing instead, but now you're busy and we haven't got the diesel or the petrol to
No.
come down anyway. Now,
Well,
so
that's
it's not happening.
that was quite interesting because even if I hadn't I could have kept quiet about this because actually just said, look, because there's no diesel, no petrol, we've cancelled it anyway. I could have done that had I've known that this catastrophe was going to hit us. Anyway.
So I don't know how many of us will come on next Sunday because certainly Emily is working.
Well, as long as people don't turn up, please don't turn. Well, they can. They
Assuming
can
it's
turn
cooler
up and
than
go and
that.
have a nice walk. It's lovely. If you've got a bicycle, it's the only way you'll get there.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you for calling, Nigel.
Cheers, mate.
All the best. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye.
There we go. That was Nigel Sadler. You may have gleaned that. Lovely to have a chat with Nigel. Lots of comments there. Now, Dean Cooper, very interestingly, said he is a lorry driver. And he says, OK, me as a lorry driver, the problem we have is lots of middle-aged drivers have died from COVID. So this is a shortage problem. And a lot of drivers have been laid off from important companies. So some have snuffed it because they were, presumably if they're middle-aged, they're just not very healthy. What we need is a way of keeping our drivers healthy. Now, Dean is very healthy. He's got tons of muscles and he unloads the car. He's not like some of these people. I remember having a lorry driver on this show some time ago, worked in America, and he used to tell me that he never took the stuff off the back of the lorry. That wasn't his job. Other people did all that, so he just sort of sat about all day and as a consequence wasn't very fit. Whereas Dean, he drives up to places, leaps out and grabs whatever is in the back and he runs in and takes it. And some of these delivery people are very fit because that's what they're doing all day. They're not actually in their lorry for any length of time. But some of these other guys, of course, they're doing very, very long journeys and it's very tiring, and you can understand. And they don't have a gym in the back. Maybe they should proportion a part of the lorry into a gym and say, well, this is for my mental and healthy fitness, that I am in the back there in the evenings giving it this, doing all that, and then I can collapse and watch the big screen TV that which fell off the back of another lorry the other day. So that's interesting. Thanks, Dean, for that. You're welcome to give us a call, Dean, on 0793 4746 790 to explain further about the pitfalls of being a HG driver. Be fascinating to know that, actually. Bonnie says, I've got lots of tins of pineapple. I keep buying them by accident. Is that your eyesight is not very good? You keep going, oh, yes, baked beans. Put that in, and they turn out to be pineapples. Maybe that's the case. Jackie Lowe says, been watching Pam Ayres. Love Pam Ayres. What's been happening here then? We've been doing all sorts of poetry, actually, Jackie, from down in the West Country, where we do like to do a nice poem. There was an old man from Bombay who slid down the stairs on a tray. He bumped into the Queen and said, sorry, old bean, but you should have got out the way. I don't think that was one of Pam Ayres's, but there we are. Ray of Hope reminds us it was a stencil duplicator. Yes, we used to have on a spirit. Oh, here we go. We do have another phone call. This is marvellous. We may just keep all these videos rather than break the cycle. We'll just keep going, I think. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Sir Richard. Alan Sandell here. How are you?
Hello, Alan Sandell. Lovely to hear your dulcet tones. Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Ashted in Surrey.
Oh, Ashted in Surrey. Lovely place.
Lovely place. Yes, I thought I'd pay you a prison visit, see how you're holding up while you're holed up.
Oh,
and,
yeah, thanks.
Holding your own.
That's very kind. Did you get all the stuff I asked for?
What?
Did you get all the stuff? Have you been frisked before you came in?
Oh no! There was nobody there when I came back from the States. There was nobody there.
Nobody to frisk you.
I mean, no, absolutely not.
Shortchanged.
There was when I was approaching customs.
Yes.
There were 8 or 9 blokes in dark grey uniforms with submachine guns, and I was thinking, shoot, am I going to die in the crossfire? Who are they expecting?
Yeah, Alan Sandell. The new James Bond.
So I walked past them, and in customs there was nobody.
By the way,
nice, because I was carrying some stuff.
Oh, you're right.
I might not. Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to tell.
Carry on.
I was just going to say, by the way, I have been enjoying all your posts, your interesting posts in the group. I'm not in the group.
Thank you very much.
But no, I just wanted to mention it. I do sort of lurk in there. I don't have a lot of time to sort of do comments and things, but it's interesting to see what people do, because I always think of the group, the Bald Explorer Facebook group, for those who are a bit confused, as a place for all the, because they see enough of me. They don't need me to do too much. But I have, you always come up with interesting things. Anyway, yeah, go on.
Yes. Well, I mean, I know that a number of us, or not me necessarily, but others, use the group as a convenient, free way of storing lots and lots of photographs.
Well, that's right.
And I think Graham confirmed that when I had a joke with him. But I decided to use it as a way of storing my log.
Your log?
Yeah, just a everyday log.
I'm short of logs at the moment. I'm running out of logs, and of course
I could tell you where to find some.
Oh, could you?
Might be nicking them though. Yeah, up on Epsom Common.
Oh, I can't get to Epsom Common at the moment, and even if I could, if I was released,
no bloody diesel.
No, I'm self-isolating. I'm not allowed out of the house.
Couldn't you? Could you not borrow a wig and sneak out?
Yes, of course I could. That's exactly what I should do.
Yes, you could say. Yeah, I mean, you could get out and with your camera and with your wig on, you could. I am the Bald Explorer's sister. I'm filling in for him for a while.
Hello, dear.
Yes,
I haven't been very well lately.
No, it's all that COVID, I've escaped.
No. I'm not looking as I should.
Exactly. Well, I could do that because, as you know, I mean, Ray of Hope, lovely Ray of Hope offered me some logs, which was very nice of him. He's only up in Horsham, 20 miles away from where I am. And, of course, I've probably got enough diesel in the van to get there as well and back. And it's all a bit downhill after the last part of the Downs. However, of course, not until the last day of this dreaded 10-day thing is the 30th of the month. Is it? Yeah, 30 days has September, April, June. Oh, it must be the 31st then.
I don't know. I have to use my knuckles to.
That's interesting because I think he said the 30th. I thought that's Halloween. Anyway, whatever day it was, I said, so when does this end? Because he said, well, your last day is, I think he said the 30th or the 31st, whichever one it was. And I said, okay, well, what time? And he said, well, from midnight. And I said, yeah, but I didn't contract this problem, if I got anything, at midnight. 10 days ago, or, from the start. I said, no, you pinged me at 3 p.m, or whenever it was. That surely should be the time that I take my, you've pinged me to say 10 days from now. I don't want any of this midnight. I might want to go to a party. I've been inside. There might be a nearby... A rave. Yes. That's right. Or a brothel. I might be getting a bit,
a bit anxious.
A bit anxious. 10 days. I might have something to release apart from myself. Anyway, let's not go down the smut line. So have you had any of this PCR testing? Have you ever done any of that? Have you had the necessity?
Oh, I was a total failure when I came back to England. I was supposed to have 2 tests, which I had to pre-book them, and then send them off or to post them. How do you post a bloody test when you're in isolation?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, this was.
But anyway, I did it, but I didn't find the code number on the first test package, so neither of my tests have been recorded on the system. So I'm a criminal.
That is.
I'm waiting.
That is. Oh yeah, it is. Somebody's just reminded me. It's September, not October. That's true. It's not Halloween. It is the end of this month, which is September.
Yeah, so I'm totally illegal.
Yeah. You've just reminded me, because when my thing was, I was. Let's have a look. See if I can find the sodding thing. NHS test tracing, whatever. I did delete the first one, I have to say. But when the first one came in, it said you had to self-isolate. It said go and get a PCR test. And I thought, what do you mean?
Cost you?
Which I thought, well, okay, hang on a minute. If I've got to isolate, how do I go and get one? Presumably,
exactly.
They would send it to me. Well, how would I get it back? They'd have to collect it, because just as you said, you can't go and post it.
They don't.
And so the whole thing is a bit of a daft thing. And yet, why can I not be tested to see, with one of the things to say, oh, okay, you haven't got it, fine. Why have I got to sit out the 10 whole days?
Well, I was thinking, could I get out early? And yes, you can, if you have a test kit written to you by a courier.
Yes.
Who waits while you do it, and then runs it back, blah blah blah. And you might have looked at that. It would cost me about 400 quid to get out 3 days earlier. It'd be cheaper to stay at a hotel, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, and have everything done for you. Jackie Lowe says there is an easy way out for me, and she's put the picture of a syringe, which presumably means suicide. Thanks for that. Yeah, suicide. No,
I tell you what, I've got a funny story for you. I've got my British phone and my American phone, which doesn't connect to data, but it does connect to the internet. So when I'm watching your show, sometimes I'm still chatting to my old expatriate British chums in the USA who are between 5 and 8 hours different from me, and we were talking boringly about a stew I'd made.
Nice.
A stew, nice. And a lady made a comment about no potatoes, and I said sweet potatoes, and immediately I said sweet potatoes. That was my comment. Immediately, this is authoritarianism for you. I was slammed by a notice, an exclamation mark in an orange triangle from Facebook, saying that my comment might have contravened their community standards because it was similar to statements that had been used in a bullying and harassing fashion.
So what the
Did I want to ignore their message or delete it?
So not
sweet potatoes, for God's sake.
Yeah, but the fact that they're even listening to you, it means that they're listening to your conversation, and you're talking about a stew, a stew that's got sweet potatoes. That is the most, isn't that? I mean,
I know, isn't it?
Yeah, mind you, I wouldn't. You see, I don't have Messenger on my phone, on Facebook Messenger. I mean, I remember MSN Messenger. Is that still a thing? But I don't have Facebook.
God knows.
Facebook Messenger. I won't put it on my phone. because of exactly that. I'd rather go to a PC and do all of that on when I'm doing it, because otherwise you open yourself up to people pinging you, talking to you, and you don't know who's listening to it.
Well, I have every messaging system on my phone, because there's. Now I'm here in Texas. If I wanted a flu jab, I'd walk into CVS and get a flu jab. But here you have to wait for your doctor, your doctor's assistant, to send you a message saying, "Do you want an appointment to have a flu jab?" And you have to go on the internet to their website and say, "Yes, I do." And then they send you a message back saying, "Yes, you can." And then they send you and no wonder the NHS costs so much money. There's five people sending text messages and emails just for one flu jab.
Yeah, and no doubt you'll get something through the post as well, because every time you call them up to change an appointment, you get sort of a ream of paper arrives.
Yes, well, I have lots of those, but I tend not to open them for months, just like my emails.
Exactly. It is a funny old world. What have we got here?
Yes.
I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Nigel Sandler says the prices for wood-burning stoves and their installation have doubled in the last week. Yeah, I know that when I rang John for my wood, which normally he's about 2 weeks away, you ring up and say, "Oh yes, I'll be over in about 2 weeks." I rang up. He said, "Yeah, you won't be able to have anything until the 13th of November, which is 6 weeks away." I said, "Blimey." I said, it's still October. People aren't ordering their Christmas stuff. He said, "Oh, it's gone mad. Everybody wants wood." Because exactly that. People are buying stoves because they've heard the electric prices have gone up. They can't afford to do that. So they thought, well, we'll burn wood, which is great. And if that then makes wood cheaper, although it won't be any time soon, that people go, "Oh, well, there's a bigger demand for wood burning stove. We'll plant some more trees." And in 50 years' time, we may be able to get the price down a bit.
Yeah, well, every time the government here says "don't panic," we do.
Well, that wise words, really, because the government
is
saying,
you fair warning. We are giving you fair warning. Don't panic, so panic.
Yeah, that has been the whole principle of Boris Johnson's entire government. That whatever he says on a Monday, that by Tuesday it's going to be the opposite. And so that if they do say "don't panic," all hell has hit the fan.
Now is the time.
Can you imagine though? They must be sitting there in the government apps every day. It's like, oh my God, what now? What now? We've got through the, they've had Brexit. Oh, we'll get Brexit done. Then there's all this oh crikey, how the hell are we going to? Dominic Cummings is sitting there going, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that." Well, yeah. And then, "Oh, no, nobody likes you now, Dominic. Can we get rid of you?" And then there's, "Oh crikey, we've got this pandemic. What should we do? I had no idea. What have they done in Italy? Oh, what have they done over there? Oh, they've locked everyone down. Right, okay, we're going to do that." A lot of people are moaning about that. Oh, we'll get some scientists. Well, we can't change our mind now. Well, that's never been a non-policy. Well, we're going to stick to this. We're going to do this. Come hell or high water. Oh, by the way, hell and high water has just arrived. Oh, what do you mean? Now we don't have any HGV. We don't have any diesel. More people are dying. The double jab doesn't seem to stop the COVID thing. They must be just sitting there in buckets of sweat.
What got me the other day was there were a couple of British scientists. One of them was a lady who was involved in inventing the AZ jab, and the two of them said by the spring, COVID will be just like a common cold. And I thought, so how come flu isn't?
Yeah. How come flu isn't?
Really?
We have to have a jab every year if you want to.
I know, but it's a common cold.
Of which we still haven't solved.
No, we spent about 30 years at, where was that place Portland Down, where people were offered free holidays.
Oh yes, they get injected with the common cold and they can be observed.
Yeah, but they weren't injected with a common cold. They were injected with all sorts of things, and now they're dying like flies.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think if people really knew what was going on in the world, that they wouldn't want to get out of bed. And it's a good job.
No,
It's a good
no,
job we don't. It's a good job that we can sit and speculate and have a moan about stuff, and then people can go, yeah, but it's probably not really happening, is it? You know, they look out the window, the sun is rising, and the milkman still delivers their pints of milk, and the horse and cart is still collecting any old iron. Maybe back in time a bit there. And, you know, our phones aren't listening to us. They're not sending us... every time you buy something on Amazon, the next day you go on Facebook, it's advertising the same product. You go, well, I've just bought it. I've just bought... Why are you advertising? I've just bought that.
I get that every day.
I know.
Would you like to buy another one?
No, why? What was wrong with it? What was wrong with it? Oh, and the one you're offering me now is 10% cheaper. I mean, you know, what kind of a cockeyed world have we entered? We have allowed you know, this is all of our own making. Alan, I better move on. But it's been lovely.
Me too.
Lovely
nice
to talk to you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Cheers. Bye.
There we go. Alan Sandell from, I think, Ashstead in Surrey. Lovely village. Lovely village. You can't cure a virus, says Michael White. I'll be ringing next, says Dean Cooper. Bring it on, Dean. Give us a call. Tonight is the self-isolation. My chance to have a chat to you, your chance to have a go at me. Jackie Lowe is saying, yeah, it's the take the vaccine as the way out. You see, that's the thing. It's coercion. It's coercion. We are supposed to have free choice. I know she's saying it as a joke. What else was there? Somebody said something which I wanted to... Bonnie's going on about a keyword algorithm. It's not the real person texting you, it's a software bot. Can you imagine if a real person was having to sit there and text every damn person? It would be an absolute nightmare. Of course, it's just a computer doing it. But there we go. 30th of September, James Bond Day. I watched James Bond Casino Royale, actually, the other night. I managed to find it on some software program thing. Can't tell you exactly how that worked. Can't remember, actually. Can't remember. It came up, but can't remember how. Anyway, I saw it originally, and I thought it was a pile of old poo because I was very disappointed they weren't following the James Bond of the time. However, I actually enjoyed it on second viewing sometime down the line. Hello, is that the lovely Dean?
No, it's Big Brother.
Oh, Big Brother, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry, I thought Dean was ringing in. Hello, Big Brother.
Oh, sorry, AK Terry Banzer. I'll keep it brief then if you want to speak to Dean.
No. He had the chance. He had the chance to ring, and you know, the switchboard can only cope with one call at a time. It's lovely to have a chat with you, Terry, up in Southwater.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I've quite enjoyed the show so far today. I know because Julia's not around. You didn't have her prompting you to put the phone number up on the screen earlier on.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
and the sound operator disappeared. I think it was Eric.
Eric. Yeah. Well, he's no help whatsoever, really. I don't know why I keep him, but I'm loath to get rid of. He's like a lucky charm.
Yes.
Not that we've seen him much or heard from him much, because he is a very annoying character.
That's right, sir. Very annoying, sir.
There you are, I see.
Yes, yeah. I should put him into self-isolation.
Yes, well, it's kind of, that's his life, really. In fact, what I should do is put him in a room with a lot of people. That would be penance for him.
Yes, yeah. I was going to talk about lateral flow test.
Oh, please
kits.
do.
Oh, well, I've got another story about fuel shortages, but anyway, I'll go with lateral.
Do them both. I'm in no rush to finish, by the way.
Yes, well, people were discussing PCR tests, which I've never had.
No.
One. Although when I go and park in the park and ride up at Hop Post Roundabout, just outside Horsham, I don't know whether you're familiar with that.
What roundabout?
Hop Post.
Where is that?
It's just south of Horsham, off the A24.
South of Horsham on the A2. Is that that's not the Broadbridge Heath one then?
No, it's the one before that. If you're going northwards. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before the one that goes off to Kingsfold and
Tesco's and Cranley and Rudgwick and Cranley and that sort of area.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that was what it's called. There must be all that building work must be happening now in some great, on the bit that you go past Horsham towards Crawley.
Oh yes, I think that's almost finished. I mean, but I don't know. I should mention developers' names. But Berkeley Homes seem to have taken over most of the district. They're building on all the fields, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Are they connected with the bank, Barclays Bank? Are they part of a
Uh,
division of that Berkeley Homes, or is that Berkeley?
it's spelt Berkeley,
Oh, well, then. Oh, yeah, fair
Berkley.
enough.
Yes, yeah.
So tell us about natural flow tests first of all, then, and then give us the other one.
Yeah, lateral flow tests. Yes, I've been doing them probably once every 2 weeks, and they do tend to get up my nose, as you probably appreciate.
Yeah. Do you literally have to put them up your nose?
Yes, well, you start off. You have this sort of thing like a long cotton bud, but it's a bit more technical than that, I think.
What? How can it be more technical than it's a rod, a plastic rod, is it, with a bit of cotton wool on the end, of which you stuff up your hooter?
That's right, but you start off in the back of your throat. You do it 4 times on one side. You know, if you've got tonsils.
Hang on a minute. You're saying that you put this thing in the back of your throat, then you put it up your nose. I mean, if that doesn't pass germs around, I don't know what does.
Oh, anyway, you put it at the back of your throat on one side of the back of your throat 4 times. You whirl it round, and then you move to the other side of the back of your throat and do it 4 times. Then you pull out the cotton bud. It's something impregnated, I think, with chemical or something anyway, or DNA. Who knows? It's probably my DNA. But
well, hopefully it is. Hopefully it's
anyway,
nobody else's.
Yeah, then you stick it up your nose, one of your nostrils.
The same one?
The same one, yeah. You put it up, same one. You stick it up your nose and whirl it around 10 times.
So this thing's been in your throat, and then you put it up your nose? Yes,
because it's the same. It's the same thing if you go for a PCR test, because I've seen they do a similar sort of thing. But the trouble is, the best thing about lateral flow tests is that you can do it yourself, and you stick the rod up your nose. You know when it's gone too far.
Yes, I can. Well, I used to put 4-inch nails up my nose all the way, because actually, if you put it up your nose, there is a hole over your palate. And so it's a nasal passage, and you can actually make a nail 4 inches disappear right in there. And I used to do that as part of my comedy act, much to the dismay of the audience, of course. But what I'm still baffled. This has baffled me, that you stick something in the back of your throat. So you may have all sorts of stuff in your throat that you've breathed in through your mouth or from food, and then
no, Richard. If you follow the instructions, the printed instructions, you're not allowed to eat or drink for half an hour before you actually carry out the test. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Don't gag on it.
Gosh, I can't believe that's not you know, if something's a fly has flown into your back of your mouth, or there's something stuck to your teeth, and it, you know, just as you go past it, it's caught on this thing, you stuff it into your nose right at the back. If that's not affecting you with something, I don't know what is.
Anyway, what you do is once you've done that, anyway, you then have like a little test tube thing, and you put. I mean, all these objects are sealed up and you have to unseal everything. Everything's hermetically sealed in all sorts of packs. Anyway, you then pour some, you squeeze some reagent, I think it's called, chemical, into this test tube thing, and then you stick your swab in there and whirl it around for about 10 seconds.
And then what happens?
And then when you've done that,
change a colour or something?
Yeah, you then the other end of the test tube has got like it's like a bit like a pipette, and you squeeze out 2 drops into a flat plastic device. It looks a bit like a thermometer, a mercury thermometer. Anyway, you lie it flat on your table, and you put 2 drops in one end, and you see it slowly creep up, like if you watch a thermometer when you start blowing on it, it starts going up. Anyway, and it's got a couple of markers on there, and one is a control, and one is a T. I can't remember what that is, but anyway. So if you get, you have to wait 6 minutes, and then you start to see whether one of those bars starts to turn a different colour, pinky colour. So at the end of the day, after half an hour, if you've got 2 bars marked, then you're tested positive. And anyway, you have to go on the website, the government website, and then you have to report negative or positive.
So you could make it up.
Big Brother has all your details: your name, address, your NHS number. What you had for breakfast. The day before, and anyway, after about an hour, you get either an SMS, you get an email and on your phone. And they say, it's like, we know that you've tested negative, because I've always been negative. It's highly likely you're not infectious. But if you get any symptoms, go and have a PCR test, which means you have to go to one of the government-sponsored stations. And as in Hoppo's Roundabout, Park and Ride, they got one of those in there, a little porta cabin. Yeah. Anyway, that's all a bit confusing, really, isn't it?
I mean, and the fact that there's nobody monitoring you, you could stick that up your bum and go, I'll stick that up my bum before I put it in my ear. Yeah, see what that does. Oh, it's gone a different colour. And you could just make it up, couldn't you? I mean, if you just go, well, it's gone negative. I mean, unless you've got to send off these samples and say, oh, here it is, or take a photograph, or say, well, even then you could, there's a lot on trust. I mean, you've stuffed this thing up your mouth, you've shoved it up your nose. Bonnie says, oh, well, both of these are, your nose and mouth are connected. Well, obviously they're connected, because otherwise, they're not going into two different heads, are they? But what goes up your nose often gets filtered from stuff you may have breathed in might be up there, and stuff you've breathed in or if you've been a bit sick may come up. If you're telling me that's not going to, it sounds very odd. And the thing is, they've got people doing this. They've got what happened with the old thing about, I feel a bit queasy, I won't go into the office today. We used to trust people, didn't we? We used to trust people to go, I'm not feeling very great. And if you saw someone with a runny nose or cold, you wouldn't go near them. You just go, I'm going to respect that distance. I'm not going to... If we just stayed like that, I'm sure that we would have probably killed a lot more people.
Yes, actually, what I did mention is you were talking about things being in your nose before you put the swab up it. You are advised to blow your nose 4 or 5 times. It's kindergarten stuff, really. They set out all these instructions for you to read, and you can also watch it on YouTube. I think they've got a channel there. But anyway, shall I switch to a different subject about fuel shortage quite quickly?
Yes, do.
I tell them what these people that wake up early, I think probably like you do, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I turn the Radio 4 on or something like that by the bedside, and I heard they were talking about possible fuel shortages due to lack of deliveries. They've got plenty of gas and all the rest of it in the refineries, but they can't transport it to the pumps because they don't have enough drivers.
Right, I'm with you. We've been discussing that. So
anyway, yes. What I did, I sort of immediately thought, I know what's going to happen later on today. My local filling station, Southwater, is going to be, out of fuel. So I went down at 7:30 in the morning. It's only been open for about half an hour.
You're a panic buyer.
No, but you see. I didn't panic, but the fact was I run my tank down onto its reserve. Yes. And I never fill it up really because I don't do a lot of motoring. But anyway, I thought, well, I've got an MOT on Tuesday, so I've got to get it to the MOT station. If I don't have any petrol, then I won't be able to have my MOT done.
Well, that's fair enough. I think you got the perfect excuse there.
Yeah, so I went in. No, I didn't fill up my tank. I spent £12, which made, I think, the needle went up to a quarter. I have a medium-sized car, nothing huge.
No, £12. So, how many litres? Anyway, how many litres is that? It's about three litres, isn't it? 12 quid.
Yeah, not a lot, no. Well, but anyway, I went home, and then about 3 hours later, I sort of went out for my short walk, and I walked past this filling station, and they were backing up the Worthing Road. There were about 10 or 12 vehicles trying to get into the forecourt. So there we are, panic buying.
Everywhere. Yeah, the lovely Julia was mentioning to me that she couldn't get over how Facebook was riddled with everybody panic buying and talking about it. And there was me sitting at my computer today just editing a nice video for everybody tomorrow. But thank you for that, Terry. It's very kind of you to give us a call. Always lovely to hear you. Do call us again.
Anyway, by the afternoon when I walked past, the signs are up. They put the bollards up. Nobody could go in because they didn't have any fuel to sell. Yeah. So end of story. Anyway, enjoy your ferret beer or your crafty hen or whatever it is.
People have said have a lock-in, and I thought, well, in that case, I better open a beer, hadn't I?
Yes. Okay. Good night to you.
Take care, Terry.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. So, that was Terry Banton from Southwater. How fascinating is that? There we are. Real life experience here of being in a filling up the petrol. Reminds me of the oil crisis in the late 1960s, 1970s even, says Mark Burgess. Barely a gallon, says Nigel. Thank you for that. Now, so as we're going to have a lock-in, at least we're going to go up to 10 o'clock. I think we should. So I've decided, I don't normally drink, Dean Cooper is ringing. I'm going to go and have a pint of this, but let's have a chat with Dean first, or we can get Dean talking whilst I go. I've got to find a bottle opener. Has anyone got a bottle opener? Hello, Dean.
One here.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. I need. Can you bring it over in your van, in your lorry?
Yeah. I'll bring that tomorrow morning.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. So tell us the gen then. What's going on?
Right, okay, Richard. Well, what's happened, obviously, is the lorry driving situation is the fact that there are there's a big shortage of drivers throughout the whole UK network.
Right.
That affect all areas of what we rely on. Obviously, the parcels, the fuels. It affects my job as well because I'm going out every day and I'm finished by 2:30 because I haven't got all my parcels.
So are you working extra hard?
No, it's actually dying.
Oh, I see. Because
Yeah,
I thought that without enough drivers that you'd be basically doing 2 different rounds.
No, I'm actually still doing my same round, but up at the hub in Birmingham, where all our stuff comes from, they've had a massive COVID outbreak up there. Oh. So a lot of the staff have been laid off. A lot of the warehouse staff are short-handed, and they can't get the stuff down or out processed through one of the biggest hubs that we've got in the country. They can't get it out to all the lorries that have got to go out. And our depot at East Grinstead is one of the ones that's actually the lowest. And I'm going out with today I went out with 27 stops when I would normally go out with nearly 50.
So why have you got less stuff? I must be missing something here.
Yeah, what you're missing is the fact that a lot of the staff obviously are suffering from COVID and are self-isolating, like you.
Yes. Oh, I see. Yes, but why have you got less parcels? Is that because less are getting to the depot?
Less are getting to the depot because they haven't got enough staff at the warehouse in Birmingham to process it through to get it onto the trailers.
Right. So this is a major crisis. Now, are these people who are actually self-isolating? Are they like me? Got no symptoms, perfectly fine. It's all semantics, and
well, I don't know, but I know it is quite a serious thing because it's affected a lot of people at that area. But obviously, it's not just the staff up there. It's that work in the warehouse. It's gone out to obviously lorry drivers that have been in the warehouse have gone out to the lorries. They don't have to get involved with the loading of the trailers.
Yes.
But if they're in the same area and they're working in the same workspace as these people that have been diagnosed with COVID, they've now got to self-isolate.
Are these people double jabbed?
I don't know. I'd imagine throughout the whole country, a lot of people double jabbed.
Well, why is there a crisis? I mean, I thought this was the panacea. I thought this vaccine was supposed to prevent everybody from getting this thing.
No, it doesn't. No.
Well, what's the point
work.
of it then? I mean, if we're in a crisis, I mean, this is the absurdity. We're in a crisis, yet these people have been double jabbed, and no doubt they'll give them a booster jab. But I don't think that's going to make the blind bit of difference.
No, it doesn't. No, I mean, I like you. I think I believe that. I mean, there's people that have been double jabbed and they're still getting it.
Yeah. It just makes you think, what's the point?
You haven't had the jabs, have you, at all?
No way.
No, I haven't had them either. The reason being... Because,
and you're healthy.
I'm healthy, and I feel... there was an early thing that went on to begin with before it really got out of hand, where people were actually immune to it.
Yes. Well, I think I'm convinced I've had it. In a very mild form. I'm convinced I had it way back in January, February time, and so I feel that's fine. And also, of course, I'm reasonably healthy. I don't eat all the stuff. You're very healthy.
Yes.
So people like us are the people who are not going to drop down dead. We may get a bit of a cold and put your feet up for a day or so, and that's it. But what's surprising is that people who have been not only singly jabbed but double jabbed are getting it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I mean, like you, I haven't had any jabs. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I went out for a night out at a local bar, which I used to go to quite a lot, and I picked up quite a terrible cold, and I had that for the whole week, and I was sneezing, coughing, and I wasn't doing very good at all. And I did a PCR COVID test. It came up negative, and I was fine. I don't feel any different. I'm recovered now from that. I don't sneeze anymore. I don't cough, or not too much anyway. But and then Fiona got it, and she's gone through the mill with that, and she's okay now. But yeah, I mean, neither of us have got COVID. We've both done tests and stuff. So, but yeah, we're all in good health.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it, Dean. Thank you for telling us about the system. I mean, it is absolutely mad. What do you think the government can do?
I don't think they can do a lot now. I mean, the country's going to be brought to its knees.
Because I was listening on the news about the animals in the farms that you've got so many pigs, and we're all on this next day process, just in time delivery system, which clearly when it goes wrong, so you've got enough pigs, that those number of pigs or chickens or cows or whatever the animals are going to be slaughtered, and then the next lot will be coming up. Well, if you don't slaughter these because you can't get them to the place because there's not enough CO2, or you haven't got drivers to drive them, you're going to be lumbered with these pigs. But the other pigs that are coming up are still coming. So you're going to have to dispatch these pigs somehow, whether it's by hand or by a gun or whatever, because otherwise you're going to have overcrowding, and you can't have overcrowding. So we're going to be wasting food, healthy food, that could, at the very least feed the poor. But no, we can't even do that because we can't get it to anybody. We've got the petrol that's not coming in. There'll be food shortages on the shelves. And it is total madness. And a lot of it is to do with this COVID cock-up, as well as I think it was, who was it? Nigel was saying, or somebody was saying, I can't remember now, about the elite system of servicing and not paying people enough.
Well, as far as the abattoir side of things goes, I think, obviously if they can't get rid of the meat, then they're going to have to put it in the bin.
Yeah. I mean, I did think, if only it wasn't for the fact that I'm trapped in my house, I have got a van, so I could take, I could offer my services to, and I would make a video about it. So I wouldn't.
You don't want to put pigs in your van, no.
No, I don't. No, I'm not necessarily that, but one could deliver some stuff. If we're short of people delivering stuff, what we now need clearly is back to local. instead of having stuff come from across the world and all the rest of it, and I don't want to put somebody like you out of joint, but if your van can deliver locally, that would be great. What we need is the local farms. It all comes back to this again. If only we had the local farms and local market gardens producing our food locally, so that there wasn't this problem that the food came into the market town, and we could go to market and we could grab our stuff. That would be the obvious solution. But what I was thinking is that if I've got a van, if I was able to go and grab a couple of pigs that have been slaughtered so that the new pigs can come in, because, what we're going to do with the pigs that have already been slaughtered, they can't go anywhere. I could put farm vegetables in my van, some meat in my van. Okay, I haven't got a freezer. And then I could drive around the streets of Worthing, ringing my bell like an ice cream van, going, fresh veg, come and get it, and, flog it on.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to put meat in your van because you haven't got a refrigerated vehicle. But you could definitely probably carry vegetables in there.
In an emergency. I mean, we did so many things, apparently, in this emergency of this so-called pandemic. And Bonnie's just saying, well, you need a license to move a pig. But we can revoke all that. If the government had a will and said, do you know what, like the Dunkirk evacuation where we had the small boats going across, if we had the small white van man coming to the rescue, who doesn't need as much diesel as HGV vehicles clearly would need, you could have a lot of white van men picking up stuff and flogging them locally and taking a small percentage for their troubles. I mean, there would be ways of doing this. It might be bedlam for a bit, but you could, it could happen.
Yeah, it could, yeah. Excuse me.
But anyway, of course, nobody wants to cut the red tape. We've got all this red tape. Oh, no, we can't do that because there's red tape. You haven't got a license. You can't do that. No, you can't. I can't drive an HGV because I've got one eye. They would never let me. I would never pass the test. I can drive my.
I'll tell you what, Richard. I've seen people drive Arctics. Yeah. With no legs.
With no legs.
No legs. Yep. I saw a guy in actually it wasn't an Arctic, but it was an 18-ton rigid lorry, and he was driving, he was delivering to the Dulux Decorating Centre, just round the corner from where you are.
Yeah.
And he had no legs. Both of his legs had been amputated at the knee, and he was driving on steel legs with like metal feet.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, I took my hat off to him.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness, that is amazing.
That takes a bit of, self-belief, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. No, that is. I'm impressed. Good luck to him. Bonnie says the Sussex peasant drives local farm produce from Sussex farms to local urban parks. Yeah, that's what we want more of. These local. We got to get back to local. This would be not the answer to everything, but it would be an answer in these times of crisis. If only farmers would actually talk to the local people and say, look, okay, we're going to do this. What do you want me to grow? And we could get the supermarkets to say, look, okay, we will use our services to put on the shelves and what have you, so people can get to the places, but we will only buy locally. We could turn this around. This could be something that is going to benefit, but of course we'd have to knock out all the elites and the oligarchs and the people who want to take all the money away from us and put the money back into the local economy. Which would be, that would be the answer. Audrey Forbes says, just read a post on Facebook from a petrol tanker who said there is no shortage of fuel. It's the media.
No, listen.
The media has whipped up the situation, and it's only panic buying that is causing the problem.
What Audrey has put there, obviously, that's not the problem. We've got plenty of fuel.
Yeah.
But it's getting drivers to get the fuel to the garages.
Because they've all got COVID.
They've got COVID, or they're self-isolating, or, like I said earlier in my message, we've lost an awful lot of people in this country due to this disease, and that's right across the board. That's not just lorry drivers, that's everybody.
Yeah.
From all walks of life.
But mostly
it seems to be that it's mostly middle ages and above that have died.
Right. Okay. So, okay. What we could do then, could we not, all these people who are self-isolating, who've got HGV licenses, they could get themselves into a car, drive to the depot, and then walk into the cab without having bumped into anybody, have the instructions in the cab or come through on their phone, and they could drive to the various places with the full load, self-isolating in their cab. Could they not do that?
They could do that, but they mustn't have any interaction with anybody else.
Well, that would be fine. They wouldn't need to unless they broke down. And then if they broke down, they'd just ring up and say, okay, look, I can't get out the cab, and I'm in this situation. I mean,
but that's not the government rules, is it?
No, it's not the government rules, but no, I agree. But this is where you need manoeuvrability, flexibility to be able to go, okay, look, we need to keep these people safe. We need to get everybody else safe. But let's face it, even if we pick them up in a special car, we give them a car, we deliver this car, there's the car. You go now and get to the depot, and we will give you all the food, all the drink, all the services that you need, and you'll get in your van, your thing, your cab with it, everything you need in it, and we get you to drive and deliver this stuff, and then you have a rest in your cab, and if necessary, we take you home, and then we clean out the cab so another person can use it in 6 hours later, and we get that going. There would be inventive ways of doing this without affecting any, because half these people in self-isolation probably haven't got anything to worry about anyway, like me.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, but the trouble is, a lot of companies wouldn't do that. They won't provide that kind of luxury to one driver that might have that.
But if they don't do something, these companies won't be in existence.
Exactly, Richard. That's exactly what's going to happen.
So, they'll have to compromise. They'll have to realise, actually, if we don't have HGV drivers because no one's going to order food from us or whatever the product is, we won't have the service. We will go under. So they've either got to bite the bullet and do something, or, as Linda Kane has just suggested, that the government say, well, we don't need you guys then. We'll get the army to deliver the fuel.
That's probably what's going to happen eventually.
Right. I mean, the government need to make their mind up very soon.
They do.
Right.
They do, because, I mean, the country, like I say, the current situation that we're in, with the panic fuel buying, I buy my diesel for my lorry from a garage on a fuel card. I went tonight to the garage where I normally get my diesel. 12 pumps, bone dry.
Because
no
of
diesel,
panic buying.
No petrol. Because of panic buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. On Monday, I've got 3/4 of a tank. If I can't get any fuel on Monday, because
you ain't going anywhere.
All the garages, well, I ain't going anywhere. That's it, and people's deliveries aren't going to get there. So
no.
this is why the government and the police are saying don't panic buy, because it's going to affect other companies and things that are important out there that could be important for lots of people across the network. I'll deliver to nursing homes, hospitals and things like this. If their goods can't get there, if they're after like a machine or something. And the carers, the nursing homes. I deliver lots of pharmaceutical stuff for nursing homes, cleaning stuff, obviously to keep them clean and safe. If we can't get that stuff to them, everybody's going to be affected across the board, and it's going to make the situation worse. But as the government said, don't panic buy, and the police said don't go out panic buying fuel. Myself, my car's out front here, the fuel light's on. If I can't get petrol on Monday, I can't go to work.
You know what they're going to say, though? You know what the government will just simply say, because they want to get their green bill all nice and pristine. They say, well, don't worry, just buy an electric car. You'll be fine. Don't need diesel and all the rest of it. It's all been manipulated to move us onto this stupid electricity. Because then, of course, everyone will buy these electric cars or rent them or whatever, and then they won't have any electricity because it's very expensive. Who can afford to charge up their car anyway with the prices that have been hiked up? So it doesn't make any difference.
Oh, I don't know. My ex-wife's got a hybrid car. I wanted to ask her.
Yeah. What is worse now?
Well.
It's an interesting time to be locked down in your house and not have to worry about going out. Although, of course, I am reliant on people sending me food. So don't forget to send
you've got Morrison's behind you, so it's not so bad.
That's the irony. I've got Morrison's behind me. I can't even go there.
Oh, yeah, you can't go out.
I can't go out. You know, it's like, oh yes, don't worry. There's nothing on the shelves anyway. Oh, right, okay. So we're all starved together. That's great, Dean. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm desperate to open one of these bottles. And
Well,
whilst-
Richard, get on with the the one nearest to you, the dark one.
the thirsty ferret.
On that, but do not drink the Radium B, please.
Don't drink the radium. I'll save that for when I'm really desperate.
No, I wouldn't drink that, Richard.
I'll just rub it all
that'll
over.
That'll burn your insides out.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a joy to talk to you, Dean.
Yes, and you, Richard.
Look after.
Take care and keep your chin up.
I will. My chin.
I'll give you a toot when I go by tomorrow.
Yeah,
on
please.
Monday.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. I was sitting outside in the sun, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I saw the mess out there this morning, so yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
Oh my God, that is a mess. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you see the video footage I showed earlier?
I did earlier, yeah, that little video you did, yeah, of the flooding, yeah,
flooding.
terrible.
Yeah, terrible. Apparently 6 metre length, the bloke told me.
That's quite a bit of pipe, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the length of my box of my lorry.
There you go. That's a hell of a lot to blow, so they've been digging that up. Anyway, I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, all right, Richard, take care.
Take care, Dean. Bye-bye.
All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.
There we go, the lovely Dean Cooper. So, thank you very much, Dean, for that call. We are going to continue because we're having such a lovely evening. If you want to, you can always catch. Oh, look, I wanted to go and get a tin opener, a bottle. Hello, caller.
Go on then. Go and get a tin opener.
All right. Do you want to ring back? I'm going to put a video on. I've got a piece of music that I want to put on, and then I'll go, and then we'll have a chat.
Right, okay, bye.
As soon as it finishes, I will be here.
Bye.
Sean James Cameron is going to have a good old chinwag with us, so that would be lovely. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen... Oh. Forgot how the system works here. Is there sound on this now? Probably no sound on this. Is there? Oh yeah, it is sound on this. I'm just checking. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to open this sodding bottle of beer. And get a glass and a thing. So in the meantime, set the theme. Thanks to Ray of Hope for this wonderful piece of music. You will recognise it when you hear it, and you'll know why. It is, of course, the perfect one for somebody who is trapped in something that he doesn't want to be trapped in, such as a 10-day isolation. Ray of Hope, ladies and gentlemen.
This is one for Richard in his confinement.
Please release me, let me go. A lie would be a sin. Release me, and I will love again. There we go. Please release me, let me go, for I don't love you anymore. I do love you. Thank you very much for coming along. Oh, hello. Wrong one. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sean James Cameron is going to give us a tinkle. Here he is. It'd be lovely to have a chat with you. Hello, Sean.
Howdy.
How do?
Just a little side note before I continue on the things tonight.
Yes.
So I've just been told about 20 minutes ago that an auntie of mine, that she's just died.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And no, she was a bit of a bitch anyway.
Oh, right.
Anyway, so I've just been asked, am I going to go to the funeral? So I've just gone onto the internet to have a look at the train times, the tickets to Cardiff.
Mm.
When I came to London 16 years ago, it was £38.50 a return. Now the cheapest is £89.80.
£89.80
for a return to Cardiff. That, like, we're having a guess, but in Wales the funerals are probably a week after the death. So I've just put it in, giving me train tickets for next Friday, and yeah, that's what it's come up as. That's nearly £100 on a train ticket.
Well, you know what that is? That will be the electric fee. Because they've electric.
Probably.
If you'd gone on of course, they won't have any diesel trains because obviously there's no diesel now, although they can't get that.
Well, there are helicopters over my house at the moment. The skies in London are full of them.
Is that the news media reporting on?
Trying to coordinate the amount of queues that are going into the petrol stations. And even I came home tonight, and a friend of mine was leaving the house, going, "Oh, I need to go get some petrol." And I said, "Are you going anywhere?" "Well, no, but in 2 weeks' time."
In 2 weeks' time, yeah, in 2 weeks' time. By which time, hopefully, somebody somewhere has done something.
But if you think about it, a story of that magnitude, because it was the lead story on the BBC 1 o'clock news today.
Right.
About you'd imagine a story of that magnitude would have been put in front of the government first.
Yes. Well, you would certainly have hoped so, wouldn't you?
And if there was no truth in it, they would have just said, no, just don't. So you've got to think there's something going on that they'd sanctioned that story to go ahead.
Yeah, because a story like that has, and the newspapers know that causes panic, but it's not like they've never done that before. Just hold that thought for 1 second, because I want to say thank you, Ray, for that piece of music. That was absolutely fantastic. I appreciate that. And secondly, I want to say cheers to everybody. We're having a lock-in. It's after 10 o'clock. I'm going to take my first sip of this lovely beer, which was given to me by Jackie and Miles in Thacombe. So cheers, thank you to them. And they said, Jackie's just said, at last, I've kept it for a special occasion. So let me just have the very first sip, and then we will carry on our conversation. Just bear with me. That's very lovely. I think it. I think the ferret. Oh, blimey! That's just hit the back of my eyes. The ferret it's matured nicely up on that shelf there, and it's the right temperature too. Whew. Cheers, everybody! Cheers. Have a drink if you don't drink. If I don't normally drink very often, I do drink, but not very infrequently. This will be the first pint of the year, I think. So yeah. So you think
this week?
You think
this week?
Yeah, go on.
As well, this week I've been listening to Farming Today, which is on at 5:45 in the morning, and every day they are talking up food shortages, and you sort of think, what's going on there as well?
Yes, there is something bizarre in all of this, and I'm surprised that nobody seems to have noticed any of this. It's all negative, and it's all about frightening people. And it's one thing after another. Firstly, the vaccine is going to be okay. Oh, no, actually, now the vaccine doesn't work. And you think, and the reasonable approach would have been, oh, yeah, we didn't really try it for very long, did we? We didn't really test it for very long. when I got this, have you taken the vaccine? Are you part of the vaccine trial? It's like they confess it's still a trial because it still is in a trial phase. It's not.
I'm not quite sure though, because there was a woman on the allotment last year, and she said she was taking part in a trial that was going on at the same time as the vaccine. So I don't know. There could be two different things going on at the same time.
Well, surely they would know who the people.
I'm not sure.
Surely they would know who the people are who are doing an official trial, and because otherwise it's confusing. Are you taking part in the trial? Well, I don't know what you mean. Have I had the vaccine? Is that what you're saying? I haven't had the vaccine, but we know he's still in the trial phase. So it's not a. I mean, we're still in.
Lots of problems recently that nobody's got a solution for.
Yeah.
But I was listening to Farming today, and he was talking about that if we can't get chickens into the shops, we'll have to just kill them. And I was quite shocked when he said we eat 38 million chickens a week in this country.
Oh, yes.
But then, and I think I said this to you when we had a private conversation on Wednesday, what happened in the 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s before CO2 came into the system? If you sent a chicken off to the supermarket, you had to just eat it a day earlier than, the thing is now you can buy a chicken in the supermarket and it's still fresh in a week.
Yes.
So we coped before, so why can't we go back to that old way of doing things?
in the old days, you used to hang up birds in the larder for weeks.
Yes.
And, it's only when they were riddled with maggots did you actually decide, well, we better eat that one.
But I was talking to somebody else this week, and they said how they were sort of shocked that people will throw things away because there's a date on it, whereas people don't bother to smell things these days.
No, well, I think most people don't know what they're smelling.
I've seen somebody throw away a big packet of potatoes because the date was up. And the potatoes were perfectly fine. Maybe one or two of them had started to develop the small green chits, as we call them. But I was so horrified, I actually went in the bin and pulled the potatoes out again and ate them.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with them. Dean Cooper has just put a message, says, I've had a message from a friend who is an ambulance driver saying he's got problems getting fuel. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. People now calling 999 are not going to get the response they need.
In fact, talking about that, during the same conversation I had in the cafe with somebody else, she told me of an incident where somebody had been attacked in the street by, it wasn't a traffic warden, it was a private company with the clamps. And they just happened to see this bloke's car, realised that he was the bloke that hadn't paid his clamping fee from 6 months ago, so they clamped his car. So there was a bit of a fight, and the clamper threw the clamp at the car driver's head. And she said the pavement turned colour. There was so much blood all over the place.
Oh my God!
They phoned for an ambulance, and this was like a week ago. And the ambulance said, "Yes, we'll get there, but there's a 6-hour wait."
The 6-hour wait.
6-hour wait. So in the end, the police said, "Just get in the back of the car, and we'll take you down."
Yeah.
Hospital.
And it's a bit like this couple that were killed when they crashed their car and they called for 999, and 3 days later the ambulance turned up, and then
they could have actually saved her.
They could have saved her, and then they got her to a hospital and she died.
I haven't had my TV on for about 2.5 years, but I put it on Monday because there was nothing on the internet, because some of these internet shows just decide to have the day off, and then they don't care about us poor people in the house, So I plugged in the old TV box and I started watching the TV series, and then the news came on, and I thought to myself, the world's about to burn.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if you listen to the news, I mean, it's dreadful, and this is the thing. Okay, so Dean just said about the ambulance driver, and he says there's no fuel. So you instantly go, oh my God. But luckily, clever people have said, yeah, but hang on a minute, this sort of thing is always catered for because they'll have their own fuel, for one thing. And another thing, they'll be ring fenced so that the emergency services, such as the police, the fire brigade, and ambulances, do have petrol rather than the oiks in their road who just want to fill up.
I've got a feeling that they store about 4 months' worth.
Yeah, they
I just have a gut feeling that I've seen it somewhere, and that it's a 4 month storage that they keep for stuff like that, But yes, I've decided to switch off the news again and just be lost in my own little fantasy world.
And I think that's the best policy. I mean, I don't watch. Do you know? I have a radio. I listen. The one station I listen to is Talk Radio, and it's on DAB. I can't get it on FM, and I have an FM radio on my windowsill. And I've looked at the radio. It's permanently tuned to Radio 4, and I haven't listened to Radio 4 for about 2 years. And I thought, I don't need this radio. I could throw it away because I can't get the radio station I do listen to, which mostly I listen to on my phone, the home of common sense. And I don't agree with everything they say, but I agree with quite a lot of those things they say, and they do open up discussion. And I can't bear the adverts, however, but, you've got to pay for the station, and they're expanding all the time. And I just thought, I have not listened to the BBC or seen what the BBC output is, and I don't need to. Because it's just awful, People tell me, and you can, and it's reflected. So I'm quite happy to see their license revoked. Really.
Well, I've heard, and I can't believe it because if they believe it, they're obviously in their own cuckoo land. But apparently, Boris is contemplating having an election early.
Is he?
In 2022.
Well, I can understand why, because he wants to get re-elected before all the SIHT hits the fan and people realise what a complete and utter cock-up he has been.
Well, I just think it just feels like there's something in the air. Because on the allotment site that I'm on, we spent 2 hours today talking to two of the elderly people there, trying to make them to see sense about stop causing this argument with the committee, because at the end of the day, it isn't worth it. And it just seems like everybody is on a heightened state of alert where everything's an argument.
Yes.
And I think that stems from the stuff you see on the news.
Well, I think you're right, because everything is polarizing. Instead of having debates where people can have both sides of the story and agree at some, each side can agree a little bit with the others on certain things and so find common ground. We don't have that anymore. It's either, this is our point of view, and if you don't agree with it, you're an idiot. And that seems to be the mainstream's approach, that they will not debate things.
But this week, with all the stuff I've seen on the news and the people that I've seen, I'm starting to think that I'm going mad.
Yeah, well, you're not going mad. This is the gaslighting that I think that's going on. People, all of this, whether it's intentional or whether it is just complete and utter cock-up, which, to be honest with you, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, and I think you can see how hard a government can to do anything, because things go wrong and people leak stuff left, right, and centre. And you do think if there was a master plan on any of all of this, it's incredibly well organised, and I don't know anybody who's incredibly well organised.
If there was a master plan, one government can't even organise themselves.
Yeah.
How on earth
Yeah.
How on earth do you think everybody in the world's going to come together and agree on something?
Absolutely. So I can't see that these things are, as conspiracy theorists say, I can't think that this can happen because too many people would leak stuff to the highest bidder, no matter what. I think that it's easier to frighten people who know stuff and they don't want to say anything. For example, I was given a video today from somebody from the Royal Navy who was a whistleblower and then this is quite curious. I'm not saying whether it's true or not, but the situation was that she was giving a briefing to say before COVID, before the vaccines rather, in a year of Navy personnel, we saw something like 50 deaths from COVID-related things and all of that. 50 deaths in a year. Since the vaccination rollout, and of course the Navy all had to be vaccinated, they saw something, I can't remember the figure, but it was something like 300 in half the time because they'd had the vaccine. Now, draw your own conclusion. I'm not telling you whether that was the vaccine or not. I'm just saying that this is what this woman said. And it's a curiosity. Can't remember how we got to that now.
That I've started to see as well is in the gardening community. All seed companies are starting to play up the fact that there'll be seed shortages. You got to get your orders in now. Forgetting to tell people they've slightly put the price up on things.
Yeah,
and I think this food shortage thing is that to try and get a really good Christmas sale, just to get some money pumped in again.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, it could be people are just taking advantage of a situation. And maybe it's all grown out of proportion and who knows what. I mean, I just don't think that you can... The master plan, because I think it's more of a cock-up, and it just seems that the more the government decides to double down on it, the worse that gets. The more everybody else seems to sort of want to double down on it, and nobody actually wants to get their head above the parapet and say, actually, here is a way out. Now, if everyone can get themselves together, let's do it. And at the same time, you've got complete and utter wackos gluing themselves to tarmac, whether it's on the M25 or the at Dover, and everyone's taking them seriously enough instead of just going, just move them to the side, let us carry on with our work, instead of taking them, we've got to get an injunction, we've got to do this. Just either that or just let the lorries go over them. If they're stupid enough to stand in front of a lorry, these people are just wackos.
There is a lot of people taking advantage. Like at the start of the first lockdown, the amount of gardening YouTube channels that I saw of people that I used to respect, suddenly putting videos up going, right, you need to turn your back garden into a garden, and these are the 5 things you need to grow that you'll be able to harvest in sort of 4 or 5 weeks' time. There's nothing you can grow that you can harvest in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But the amount of things that I saw where people were going, get on the bandwagon. Let's make a bit of extra cash.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I'm going to switch everything off.
Switch it all off. That's it. Thank you so much for calling in.
I'm going to sit in my shed.
Yeah, that's right. I think turn off the news. Don't listen to the people. Don't get manipulated. That's obviously the secret. Thank you.
This is the first time that I've ever felt slightly anxious and panicky that the world's just falling apart. And am I going to wake up from this dream?
You will. It's not falling apart. The thing is, there are enough clever and intelligent people who are at the moment possibly silent and just getting on with things, and things are happening in the background. That I am absolutely certain. Things will not fall apart. The mainstream media may tell you it is, the government may act like it is, but I don't believe for a moment that people like you and me will, and others much, much more cleverer and have got an idea, and people who've got money will not let this happen. It won't happen. It's just that is the story, the narrative that is being driven into people to make people like you worried. But don't be worried. It's not going to get that bad.
No, but it's surprising how I thought I was quite switched on. But just by putting the news on for a week, 5 days, and it completely fries the brain.
Yeah, don't put it on.
But as long as there's a Vobes, there's an England.
Absolutely. I'm going to do my best. That I am the second place for common sense. Well, the Vobes sense. I may be completely and utterly wrong, but I'm convicted by my thoughts. And we ain't going under. We are British people here, and we will not let this happen. If necessary, we will rise up and we will do something. But there are clever people, I'm sure, behind the scenes who are working these things. We will get out of this. It's not as bad as it seems. It's a big story. I think there are other worse things that are going on that we don't know about. And that would be the other thing, is all of this could well be cover for something else that we're not talking about. But let's not worry about that for the moment.
Speak to you soon.
Yeah, you take care. Look after yourself,
Bye
Sean. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that was Sean. It's been a mega show tonight, hasn't it? Thank you very much for joining me. I have downed that wonderful Thirsty Ferret. I can tell you it has gone straight to my head. It's 4.4% amber nectar. It is delicious. If anybody wants to buy me another one of those, I am very receptive. I can't get out to buy them myself. But I don't actually drink, so don't take me seriously on that. But it was very nice. As my first pint, I think the first pint of the year, that was nice. I may have one more before the year is out. But I don't drink regularly. I just don't feel a need to. I like the taste. It's very nice, but I don't find it. So please don't worry. We've been speaking about a lot of things in tonight's show. A lot of things have been controversial. I am a controversial figure to some people because I am have convictions. But I do believe in this country, and I believe in the people of this country, and I think that we are bigger and better and cleverer than a lot of people think. And I think the elites who are treating us in a very bad way, they don't know what they reckoned with. And the most recent example, I think, is the Brexit vote. That the elites thought that we were stupid by voting for Brexit. Now, I appreciate that some people here will be going, well, wait a minute, I was a Remainer, and we shouldn't have, and Brexit is the worst thing that's possible. I'm not arguing for Brexit now. It's done and dusted. It's where we are. Let's all be friends. And I'm not saying one thing or another. But what I am saying is I'm just making the point that some people will stand up for their principles, what they think is right. And that is right, whether we agree with them or not. And we should continue. People have opinions that I disagree with wholeheartedly. And I have opinions that others disagree with wholeheartedly. And that's fine. As long as we are able to say, look, I just disagree with you, but I like you and I can get on with you. It's not the end of the world. And that's really what this is about. And that's what this show is about. We can have conversations. We can say what we think. And no one is going to laugh anyone down. I may take the mickey, as I often do, about people who seem to me to be completely wacko. But unless they call in from someone from Isolate Britain, got isolation on the brain, Isolate Britain, unless they actually call in and say, look, okay, this is our stance, what do you think about it? And put their points across, or Extinction Rebellion, or for having the vaccination, or whatever it might be, then I'm prepared to listen and have that conversation. I want to have that conversation. I want to hear the other side from people who are educated or are very struck on their thing. If we can have a conversation without calling each other's names. I'm not necessarily going to change my mind, but I would like to understand why they think the way they do and share that information with everybody else. And that's really what I try to do, although, of course, not many people do call in and make those conversations with me, which is a shame because I want to hear the other side of the story. And I'm sure you do too. You want to hear how I deal with that. And mostly I just want to listen. We had a caller once, right at the beginning of this Vobes show where we went online. There was a woman, I can't remember her name now, but she was very anti-fracking. And she asked me what was my opinion about fracking. Now, I don't really know very much about fracking. And so I said, look, it sounds bad, but I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing because I don't know what the other side of the argument is. Now, because I wouldn't commit to her way, and she plagued me on Facebook with a whole load of videos about how dreadful it was. And it may be dreadful, but because I wasn't prepared to go on her side, she decided to disappear very quickly. And you know, she didn't actually call me any names or anything like that, but she just thought, well, you're a lost cause. I'm not even going to try. Fair enough. That's her prerogative. But it's a shame that she couldn't have had a more rational debate with me about it so that I could be educated. But I would like to know both sides. With things like the vaccine and the coronavirus and the situations that I do talk about, I have looked as much as I can on both sides and drawn a conclusion that isn't rigid. It is only rigid until I'm convinced otherwise. And I think that's a fairly sensible place to be. But I think it's fair that everybody has their own thoughts, but as long as they're open to other people's thoughts, we can have this world together. Anyway, that's it, really, I think, for tonight's show. Thank you so much for hanging on with me this evening. It's been an interesting show. Tomorrow, I have a lovely video for you. It will go live at 9 o'clock, as long as I wake up. I need to do the thumbnail and description, but I'm going to do that in the morning because now that I've had the alcohol, I think I'm going to just crawl into bed. I have a lovely video for you. I spent all day working on it. I'm very proud of it. I think you'll enjoy it. It is about windmills. It's about England. It features Windmill Bob. I'm in a different county. There is a bit of drone flying. It is in good quality. I hope that you like it. If you do, please give us a thumbs up. I appreciate all of that. And I really appreciate you staying with me and watching the show this evening and being there with me in my isolation. I don't know quite what I'm going to do video-wise this week. I don't want to force this thing about being isolated and, you know, go on and moan about it. But I might do one video in the week in which I just talk about, you know, what it's like to be not able to go out and the things that I've done and try and put a positive spin on it. And that's really what I want to do. Of course, I'll do the Naked Englishman, which is always hit and miss with me, and my opinions vary in that as I use it as a workshop of thought. I take the thoughts of the morning and try and work on them as I think about it. It's not for everybody, and sometimes you may think, oh my God, he is a very opinionated person, as I try and work things through. But hey, you know, we're all individual and different, and that's fine. Thank you again. Sorry we didn't get to your videos, but I will do the videos in Monday's show, which I'm looking forward to already. Thanks to Ray of Hope for that wonderful piece of music. Really appreciate. Thanks to Bernie and Mark Burgess for sending in your videos. Thanks to my callers, all of you, for calling in. You know who you are. And thanks to you guys, to lovely Julia and Judith for moderating. It's been great fun, and excuse my occasional rants. Until next time, look after yourselves. Have a good rest of the evening. Please don't worry about the situation. It isn't really as grim as the mainstream media tell you. Please take that as a truth, as much as I can ascertain, and don't be frightened. If you want to contact me about anything at any time, I am open. I'm all ears. richard@vobes.com. And if you want to chat on the phone because you're worried, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. I mean, I just have my views, but ultimately we are okay. We will be okay. There are people out there who are looking out for us, and we will get through this. It just seems like it's an absolute nightmare. But remember, everything you see is not really the true. All that sparkles is not necessarily gold. This is Gold, and I must go. Take care. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Every time I press the button, nothing happens. Swine. I don't know why I bother with all of this technology. Take care. Bye-bye.